Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Anime Slushy. Now, just a quick content warning up front. The anime we're watching this week is some real edgelord shit, so the list of things I would need to warn you about is quite long. Basically, if there's anything fucked up that upsets you that you might worry would be in an anime, just assume it's there, because it probably is. The other thing is, when we recorded this, I had only just woken up, so I do sound a bit more wiped out than I normally would, and occasionally you might hear me sipping a coffee. Sorry about that. Don't worry, I'm not quite as miserable as I sound to begin with. Anyway, enjoy this slushy.
Hey everyone, this is Anime Slushy. I'm Jerry.
Welcome back. I'm Mary.
Yeah, last week Cube watched Magical Girl Raising Project and told me all about it. This week I watched Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka, and I'm going to tell Mary all about it.
Yes, and as we alluded to, I have seen the first. Was it 4 episodes? How many did we get in?
We got four episodes in.
Yeah, so I will know the first part of this, but then after that, I can't wait to find out.
Oh, it's a roller coaster ride of thrills and spills and just general Magical Girl good times. Look, I think I said something in the side podcast about, or maybe in the Yuki podcast, about having more respect for trash that is honest about the fact that it's trash.
Yeah.
I rescind that to some extent because, I don't really know what I was expecting with Asuka. I knew it was trash going in. Like, it's obvious. It makes it obvious that it's garbage very early on.
Yeah.
Like just horny edgelord teenage garbage. But aside from its cheapness and its general laziness, it's not really incompetent or batshit in the way that Yuki Yuna was.
Yeah.
I'm just so terrified of the person this is for. It's kind of disturbing. It's a lot more directly marketed at neoconservatives and alt-right people than I was expecting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in terms of the politics of the show, because it does have politics, in terms of its worldview, in terms of the way it sort of pitches the characters' stories and the way it tries to relate to you as the viewer, it's incredibly fucking incel.
Oh man.
And yeah, it's like if 24 was a Magical Girl anime. It's got that sort of vibe to it. Yeah.
I mean, I do remember some things, but yeah, I can't wait to hear how they progress. So let's jump right into, where'd we start? What happened first?
Okay, so just to set the stage, this is a relatively recent show. The manga's a little bit older, but they've just recently made started making the show last year. I don't think there's any really direct line you could draw to Madoka this time, except that it's just part of that general trend of dark Magical Girl shows.
Right, yeah, it's clearly, it's not trying to, do the same thing in any way as Madoka.
Oh, no, not at all. It's, if anything, it's a bit more like Raising Project in that it's just a regular violent fantasy show, but they've sort of inserted magical girls into it. The main character is a girl called Asuka, whose magical girl name is Magical Girl Rapture Asuka. The names are all structured like that.
Rapture Asuka. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Magical Girl, their theme name, and then just their name. So the thing about the designs in Magical Girl Asuka is they do kind of tell you what the show's about, in that they are bad, mostly. They are sexy, and they are also adorned with just general military shit.
Yeah, it's always military stuff on top of unrelated magical girls' bikini wear.
Yeah. Like in Asuka's case, she's basically it's like a modified maid's outfit, but then it has tactical rigging and ammo pouches and all this sort of weird shit. And her magical device, because every magical girl has a magical device that they yell a bit and they transform and stuff. Hers is a karambit, which is a type of tiny Indonesian knife that's mounted.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's mounted in a little a holder on a chain around her neck. So the first time we see her, there's something attacking the city, and she jumps off a building. I don't know why she was up there, but whatever. And she pulls the karambit out, and it's fucking metal. She's transforming, falls to the ground. Now and then you see her, and it's just enormous boobs in this stupid outfit, and she kicks thing.
Yeah, though I would say like her outfit comes maybe one of the closest to being like cohesive looking compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah, I would agree. It's still a very weird look. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't quite look like it fits together.
no. They're all of the outfits are a little bit busy, and there's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
She also, of course, has a fairy. The fairies are maybe the only thing I genuinely liked unironically about this show.
A little cat guy?
Yeah, Sachu. His name's Sachu.
Yeah.
And he's fun. I don't know. I liked him. I actually liked all of the fairies that I saw because there's a bunch.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. He was funny when he makes jokes. He's generally sort of funny, and he's just sort of cute in general. I don't know. I didn't mind his design.
Yeah, he looks like a little flying black cat with like a silly tail. Yeah, I only saw a little bit of him, but I liked what I saw of him.
Yeah. He it turns out he's actually a mouse because he runs into some cat fairies later on, and it turns out cat fairies and mouse fairies don't get on very well.
Oh, well then he's not very well designed for what he's supposed to be.
He does look kind of like a black Raichu, a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got those big cat eyes.
So the story of this world is that a while ago, I think 3 years ago, these aliens from another dimension called the Desas attacked the world.
I forgot there was aliens.
They look like giant stuffed toys, but are obviously incredibly violent. They showed up on Earth, so then for some reason another dimension-hopping race from a place called the Spirit World showed up as well, and formed an alliance with humans to create magical girls. Yeah, the aliens show up, then some other aliens show up and say, we'll help you with those aliens.
Is it spoilers to ask if the aliens angle ever becomes more relevant?
No, in fact, from season 1 at least, there's never like a dark reason. It's maybe the only non-cynical thing about this show is that the people from the spirit world just seem to be genuinely good and wanted to help the humans out.
Okay.
And they are the only ones.
But it never becomes like an active interdimensional conflict or anything.
Right at the end, we get a little bit of the spirit world involvement.
Okay.
In a way that sucks, but anyway.
No.
So anyway, yeah, this is the thing that, like, you know, there's all these giant aliens running around. They look like stuffed toys that are running around tearing apart people, and then this other group's solution is magical girls. So it sounds fairly girly, but don't worry because it was fucking super metal.
Oh yeah, there's blood everywhere.
Blood, there's guts, there's gore. You just see corpse after corpse after corpse for montage for a bit. There's a final battle at a volcano. You see like the assembled magical girls, surviving magical girls, because you learned that like there were 11 and 6 of them are dead, so there's only 5 left. And this is the magical 5, as they're later referred to.
Press F to pay respects.
There's this bit with like 2 soldiers talking about it and saying how like it sucks that we have to rely on these little girls, or they call them kids. They go back and forth between calling them kids and little girls. And when you see the designs of these girls, it turns out at this point they're meant to be like 14, and they never look like a day under 25.
Yeah. Like, whereas Yuki Yuna felt like it was going for that kind of lolicon demographic, this is the opposite, where everybody, even when they're supposed to be really young, looks like big boob women.
Yeah.
And, like, they looked exactly the same 3 years ago as to how they look now.
Yeah, but don't think the show isn't going to touch on lolicon. Anyway.
Oh boy!
So yeah, the most of the girls' powers are gun. Asuka has knives, and there's one like slightly Chun-Li looking girl who has nunchucks.
Of course.
As they're about to battle the final big boss, they recite their motto, who laughs last, laughs best.
Okay.
That's their cool motto. They all jump into action. There's a big lava monster, blah, blah, blah. They're attacking each other. What's going to happen 3 years later?
Pew.
We are in high school. We meet these other 2 girls, Nozomi, or Spunky Friend, and she's talking to Sayako, who is Glass's friend. And they're in the gym.
Oh no. These 2.
These 2 fit like that. Like there's nothing going on with these 2. They're just those archetypes. There's a Glass's friend who's the shy one, and there's the Spunky Friend who's spunky. Anyway, they're talking about the amazing new transfer student at their school. Can you guess who the transfer student is? It's
Asuka.
It is, and she is introduced as a transfer student in the gym, dunking a basketball, but dunking it sadly.
Like just like straight face, like. Mm.
No, she's not even like looking at the ball where she's dunking. She's looking down at the ground sadly, while like just fucking slam dunking and stunting on some people. Like it's just.
It's kind of a power move.
Like I'm miserable and in a lot of pain, but I can still tear you to shreds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how Asuka's introduced, so you know that she is.
That's a cool girl.
Simultaneously awesome and in deep pain. We learn pretty quickly that she has cartoon PTSD.
Yes.
The first time you notice this is when she's just in the street, and she sees a guy in a teddy bear suit giving a child a balloon, and she immediately has like a daydream about the teddy bear being a Desai and picking up the child and just crushing it in an explosion of blood.
Which, I mean, that aspect's fair enough in terms of, like, she's having PTSD flashback. I get it. I get it.
I suppose, but like, this is again one of those things where, like, in terms of a realistic depiction of PTSD, it's better than Ruby. I'll say that in terms of its accuracy, but that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Her PTSD also manifests during her meet cute with her new friends. There's a guy Litter's spunky friend tells him off. He ignores them. She grabs him. He shoves her away, and then Asuka shows up and almost kills him. Like,
oh, just because she like can't turn it off.
Yeah. She attacks him and then just starts thinking about whether or not she's going to break his arm or maybe just slit his throat and stuff. And then she looks up and realizes these two girls are just staring at her, and she gets all embarrassed. And then the next day at school, they're
What's
buddies.
she been doing for the past 3 years?
That's a good question. Like, she's a transfer student now, but the war ended 3 years ago, and it never explained. Never explained where she was.
Yeah, she's been in a hole.
There's an event that happened around the end of the war, or like just after the end of the war. Basically, her parents are dead. Her parents were killed by the Desai.
Oh, by the teddy bears.
Yeah, like she comes home and she can't find her parents.
Oh, that's right.
And there's these two teddy bears who I kind of like these guys because they're like, she's like, where are my parents? And they're like, don't worry, they're fine. And like, well, can you give them back to me? Oh, we will. Bit by bit. And then they disappear and leave a box for her that has one of her parents' hands in it. And you find out later on that, no, they're dead. They died.
Yeah, I remember being confused by that because it was like, wait, is this happening now? Is this happening in the past? Because it just like cuts to it.
Yeah, it cuts to it randomly. And as far as I could tell, it happened during the war because after the war, the Desai is supposed to have disappeared.
Yeah, so it must have been at some point during it.
So firstly, I don't know what she's been doing for the last 3 years. And secondly, I don't know why they added that because it's not like she needed an extra reason to hate the Desai.
They are evil murder teddy bears, yeah.
That she was already fighting in a war that killed a bunch of her friends, and then they just chucked in, oh, we also killed your parents. Like it's a fucking Steven Seagal film or something.
Well, I mean, why leave out an edgy thing that you could add in? It's that kind of show, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the show's go. It's just, is it edgy? Put it in.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the next day at school when they're now buddies, like Spunky Friends insists on being friends with Asuka. Glasses Friends notes that Asuka seems to like reading. Asuka explains that she reads to help distract herself from the pain. There's a boob joke. The girls tickle fight.
You know how girls do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask the audience to drink every time there's just something inappropriately sexual.
You can't. Don't kill our audience.
Yeah,
we need them.
You might die. Leaving school, Asuka runs into Robot Arm Bosley, her old boss. He has an actual name, but I'm just going to call him Robo Bosley. He's essentially like the guy who runs the magical girls in Japan. He works for the JSDFGCC.
The Japanese Defense Force.
Well, no, it's JSD.
Oh, Special Defense Force?
I'll be honest, there's a lot of acronyms in this show, and I just wrote down the acronyms.
Okay.
Because I can't, it won't help.
Yeah.
He's setting up a thing called M Squad, which is going to be like a special ops group of magical girls. But the only one he's got so far was another character called War Nurse.
Well, there's only 5 total, right, in the entire world?
Yeah, and only 2 of them are Japanese. It turns out the other 3 are off essentially doing their own thing. Like there was one who's American. She is simultaneously working for the CIA and sort of freelancing and doing her own thing.
Yeah.
And then there's a Russian one who's working for the Spetsnaz, which is the Russian Special Forces. And then there's another one we just don't know about. One of them just sort of gone missing.
Oh, the Chinese one?
Yes. War Nurse, though. War Nurse is a magical girl nurse in a sexy nurse's outfit. She probably has the most ridiculous boobs of any of the 5.
Yeah. I mean, they all have big boobs, but hers are like super wide. Because it's like one of those things where like everyone's boobs are already at such a ridiculous level that it's hard to show anyone's boobs being especially big by comparison. So they just get wide.
They're wide and like almost entirely out. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing holding them into her outfit. And yeah, her boobs are often like broader than her shoulders. Yeah.
They look super funny.
Yeah, but she's a magical girl in a nurse outfit with like torn stockings, and her weapon is a giant syringe. We flash back briefly to them in battle. There's a boob shot, drink. Basically, Bosley wants Asuka back. She's just enough battle for a lifetime. They flash back to her parents being killed. So one of her motivations for not fighting is that if I fight, people around me get hurt. even though right now there's no one around her. But anyway.
Oh yeah. But that was the purpose of the flashback. It's to because she has to have that like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, I can't involve the people around me kind of thing.
Yeah. Like the thing with Asuka is that like she has many motivations for fighting and not fighting that will be the primary one scene to scene.
Yeah.
If there's any one part of the show that's really inconsistent, it's what Asuka's into. She just makes cool anime speeches. But if you actually listed all of the reasons she says she doesn't want to fight or does want to fight or why she should fight, it's a very long list.
Yeah, and they kind of contradict each other, it sounds like.
Yeah, here and there.
Excellent.
Anyway, next day at school, there's a teenage sex work joke. Drink. There's some poorly drawn boobs. Drink. The boobs, aside from just everyone having enormous boobs, the animation is so cheap that the boob sizes like fluctuate from scene to scene, and occasionally like within scenes as well. They just get bigger and they get smaller, and yeah.
It's like a new animation studio, and they clearly don't have a lot of money, so it's like, it's everything's drawn in 5 seconds, and the boobs are all huge, but they're very unsexy because they're just like so badly drawn and so variable.
Some of the boobs are just like it's clear they're trying to make them sexy, but like they just don't know how to do basic anatomy. Here, Cube, look at this.
He's going to show me a picture. Oh yeah. So this is a picture of a girl who is in a t-shirt. It's the spunky friend, and her boobs are doing a lot. They're doing a lot here. They're pushing themselves up. They're trying to fly. They have a lot of aspirations.
They're doing the t-shirt boob sock thing where like the t-shirt for some reason goes all the way in, like into the cleavage and splits them, but doesn't. Like, yeah.
Pretty good.
There's a bit of general sort of faffing about how Asuka likes having friends, but she's also feeling bad for not helping people with her power as a magical girl. Luckily, an opportunity presents itself when a long, white, greasy-haired terrorist escapes. He's being transported in a cop van, and then some other people attack it. And as this guy's escaping, he says to his men, "We need a distraction. Quick, shoot those civilians." Their distraction is themselves.
Yeah, the distraction is violence.
Yeah, but like it's violence they're committing, so they're only drawing more attention to themselves.
Well, maybe the idea is that the civilians will be so enamored with this awesome violence that they won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Like you, the audience, they'll be like, "Whoa, did you see that fucking blood? It's so cool."
Yeah, and like they're not just shooting the cops, they're shooting people too. Wow, this is so dark and gritty.
Oh man, look at that arm go flying. Whoa.
I will say, anytime they have to do action like this, aside from the fights with the magical girls, every other bit of action is covered with a still frame that is panned over for about 10 seconds because that's about all they can afford.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you see civilians being killed, it's always just a still frame of just like people being shot and blood.
Yeah. So it's not like even as far as like super gory, crazy action goes, it's just ends up being kind of boring.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. There's occasional moments of like something semi-creative, but for the most part, yeah, the gore is very dull.
Yeah.
And not detailed because aside from a few scenes, they can't really afford to do that. Anyway, the terrorist's killing people, and that's pretty bad. But oh no, it gets worse. Glass's friend is there.
Oh no! What a coincidence.
The terrorist has got a gun, and he's pointing at a Glass's friend. Oh no, what's going to happen? There's Asuka. She's here. She's got a halo shield, like a literal halo shield that's bulletproof. You know, it takes guns.
Now, I didn't understand because that looks very military. Is that like a military-issued halo shield, or is that part of her being a magical girl?
It's part of her being a magical girl. Every magical being has one of these of various strengths.
I see.
They're generally just like how strong it is depends on what they want to do in the plot right now. Do they want them to win? Do they want them to lose? That's how strong it is.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense if it's like an interdimensional hyper-technology, theoretically. You know, it's not like actually magic, I guess, supposedly.
It's not so bad. Like it's fine. She has a bulletproof shield.
She has aura.
Yeah. So she jumps into action. She cuts one of the terrorists in half, like actually in half, and like the gore is like his body goes in 2 parts and there's a lot of blood, but you don't see any like guts or anything, so because that's too expensive, one assumes.
Yeah, it's blood.
She gets to greasy hair terrorists and just cuts his legs off, but doesn't kill him. Because he's going to the PSD FAS for interrogation, which is sort of the local cops, maybe? It's hard to tell. Anyway, Glass's friend is saved. There's Asuka cuts like a car in half, so there's an explosion behind her. Glass's friend thinks she's pretty hot.
Does she walk away from the explosion without looking at it, though?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, she explodes, and then she's walking out of the smoke. Just...
Oh, hell yeah.
In no particular direction. She's just walking.
Well, yeah.
She says that even though the war is over, She now pledges herself to fight international crime, terrorism, civil wars, and any other conflicts that crop up. So again, with the neocon thing, the endless war.
Yeah.
But oh no, a drone was watching all of this, and some boobs saw Oscar on an iPad.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, there's a woman in a tiny bikini with enormous boobs, who is watching this unfold on an iPad. You don't see her face. And she's got a bunch of mooks just kind of standing around her next to this pool. One of them is a girl called Abby, who's just your stock insane Yandere girl.
Oh, is that the blonde girl?
I think she might be redhead. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Oh my God, are there multiple ones?
There does end up being more than one Yandere. But like she is blonde. You're right.
Okay, yeah.
There are multiple flavors of Yandere. They do at least like separate the Yandere a little bit.
Wait, you got it. It's Yandere.
Yandere, sorry. Okay.
It's very important.
Where one of them is like undercover Yandere.
Okay.
Sort of.
Secret Yandere.
Yeah. This one is out and out Yandere. She
Yeah.
has the awful Yandere smile. Kind of looks like a frog.
Yeah, she makes like a big like weird frog smile, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Looks like shit.
And we pan to the back of this apartment they're in, and on the coffee table in this apartment there is like a red cube that has like just some human body parts and half a head screaming sticking out of it.
Oh yeah.
It's dead. Like whatever that human was, they're dead now. I didn't mind that image with just like just a weird red cube with bits of a human sticking out of it.
Yeah, that's a creative bit of gore. It's like, oh, what made this cube do the thing?
Yeah. Anyway, that's episode 1.
Woo.
Episode 2 opens with a butt shot, drink.
Wait, did you seriously label every shot like this?
Not every shot. That's impossible. Like that would be like that's most of the show.
No,
But
yeah,
it's
that's
just-
why I'm confused. I'm like, how's it even worth pointing out any instance of this?
because sometimes it really is just like here's where we're starting the shot.
But it's the entire show.
There's always like enormous tits in frame. Don't get me wrong. Or there are just like many moments of general sexuality. But
Yeah.
there are some times where it's just like, this isn't even a good establishing shot. I actually don't know what's happening in the scene.
Yeah, because you chose to show the tits instead.
Yeah, because we're looking at a butt instead of anything important. It turns out the butt is in Oscar's apartment, and it's Oscar's. Robo Bosley is there to deliver some exposition.
Wait, who is Bosley? What is Bosley a reference to?
Charlie's Angels.
Oh, is that the phone man?
No. The guy on the phone was Charlie. And then the dude
Okay.
that the Angels actually dealt with day to day was Bosley, who was this weird, like, middleman. They would get briefed by Charlie, and then Bosley would handle everything else. Like, so Bosley was essentially in charge. He's just not the guy in charge, yeah.
I bet they were secretly the same guy, and Bosley just wanted to pretend to have a cool alter ego that was on a phone. That's my fan theory now for Charlie's Angels.
What's good is that Bosley was usually in the room during the call, so he's just really good at throwing his voice.
No, he has like a lot of pre-recorded lines because he's smart like that.
He's got a soundboard, he just plays them.
Yes.
Okay. I like this theory. Anyway, Bosley is there to tell Oscar that the terrorist she cut the legs off was a guy called Kim Kanth.
Kim Kanth.
Who's with the EAUF. Bosley's mostly there to complain that he wanted to interrogate Kanth, but now that Oscar turned him over to the PSD FAS, he's probably going to be dead in 24 hours because that's what those cops do if they get to interrogate someone. Is torture them until they die for about a day.
I mean, from what I remember, that is a genuine concern.
No, that's literally what happens. Bosley's not wrong.
Yeah.
What also confuses me is that, like, so Bosley's with the sort of special forces military group, and Kanth is now with the cops. Who was the other organization that was transporting him before?
Yeah. Another acronym.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, seriously, who are these cops that are just like fucking insane, like killing like hostages that they need very important terrorist information from for no reason?
Oh, that's what cops do. So dark.
It's like this guy watched a shit ton of Hollywood movies and was like, God, I wish the world worked more like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like he watched a lot of 24.
Yeah.
It's that sort of like, you've got to do dark shit to make your way in this world because it's a dark place. And torture's okay, and a legitimate way to get information from people is not.
Except they don't, they just kill him.
Yeah, they just kill them, yeah. Anyway, so we discover that Glass's friend now has PTSD, the second person in the show to have PTSD. She's walking to school and just having a little monologue about how reality is a lie and she's in the Matrix or something. We learn that Spunky Friend's dad is a cop. Now, she thinks that he works for the local police, the MPD, but Glass's friend knows that he actually works for the NPA, the National Police.
Why does she know that?
Yeah, well, I guess because she's smart. and Spunky Friend is dumb.
Maybe.
Yeah, but anyway, it turns out he doesn't work for the NPA. He actually works for the NPA SSCIF.
Oh my god.
Now his name is McKenna. He's a hot dad cop.
Wait, he doesn't work for the SPF 5?
No.
Okay. So he's not the guy that killed the hostage?
No, he is. He's going to be.
Oh, I see.
We introduced to him torturing the hostage. He steps out of the torture room and he's got a workmate who's introduced by basically saying, "Hey, dude, cool torture.
Oh yeah.
Nice one."
Good torture, bro.
Yeah. It turns out they don't know anything yet. And then you also learn that he doesn't work strictly for the NPA SSCIF. He actually works for the CIT DSCA, which is a subdivision of the NPA SSCIF. So just keep.
Shut up.
So bear that in mind. Now we cut back to Kim Kanth's terrorists. They want to get some revenge. They've just got like traditional revenge. They've got guns and stuff. Yandere girl shows up and she has a better plan. A teddy bear. She's got a teddy bear. We cut away. We see the Queen again. The boobs looking at the iPad before was. Sorry, I forgot to mention. She is referred to as the Queen.
Yes.
We see her again. If you want to know what her day-to-day life is like, she's naked apart from a towel, lying on the floor of a giant apartment that like only has like a plush rug on the floor.
Oh, like it's a big fancy apartment, but they couldn't afford to put anything in it.
No, it feels deliberate. Like this is meant to be weirdly sexy and kind of abstract art. I don't know. It's weird. She's on the phone to Yandere girl. They're talking about Yandere girl, and they're talking about something. It turns out they're both magical girls. That's all we learn.
Makes sense. I mean,
Cut back to school.
Yeah.
The funny music is on for a funny music lunch segment. There's a fat joke. Drink.
wait, why are we drinking for fat jokes now?
We're just drinking. You drink when I tell you. They talk about Rapture a bit because seeing as though Glasses girl was saved by Rapture yesterday.
Oh, but they still don't know it's her?
No. All magical girls have a part of their magic is like a field that makes people have a really hard time remembering who they are and not recognize them at the time either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Raising Project kind of did something like that.
None of the costumes are really disguises.
Yeah.
It's just if anything they're wearing even less. But it's just that general thing, which some magical girl shows do. I'm fine with that convention.
Yeah, though it's really funny because like if you look at Asuka next to all the other characters, the way that her eyes and stuff are drawn is incredibly distinctive.
Yeah,
and it looks like crap a lot of the times because the animators aren't quite sure how to handle it when she like turns her head, so her eyes look like they're gonna like come off the side of her face because they're so wide. But so like the idea that's like, oh, who could the magical girl in our school be? And you just like cut to her and she's just super obvious.
She has the world's weirdest eyes that don't fit on her head.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear. But even in this conversation, like it's not even just the way she looks. The other two girls talk about they wonder why a magical girl would fight, and Asuka delivers this speech that makes it so obvious she's Rapture, and no one guesses.
Yeah.
Anyway, later as they're walking home, Glasses' friend is very quiet, and like Spunky friend stops her and demands to know what's wrong. And it turns out it was the almost dying yesterday. Who would have thought?
Yeah, does she not know that happened?
No, she knows. She knows.
Stupid.
There's like multiple times where Spunky friend will, like Glasses friend is going to be sort of dealing with a little bit of PTSD, some light PTSD for the rest of the show. And multiple times Spunky friend will be like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
Anyway, she hears a siren of a cop car passing and has a panic attack. Turns out she has a bit of survivor's guilt. So yeah, we're really getting into detail into her PTSD, while Asuka's just there.
Yeah, I remember that being weird because it's like if you wanted to show PTSD, we have a character who already had it, but instead you like engineered this really random event to give this character that isn't a magical girl it, and it's like why?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, I feel like maybe it's a different flavor because this is new PTSD, whereas Asuka's got old PTSD. The new girl is the cute one, so it's sort of moe PTSD, I suppose.
I guess she's supposed to be cute.
Anyway, Asuka gets another call from Bosley. There's a terrorist attack in progress using a Desus weapon. Apparently, it's a Halloween class Desus weapon. Ooh. It is funny hearing these like very serious military men talking in terms like this.
See, that could be a fun part of the show, though. Like all these serious military guys having to deal with like magical teddy bear attacks and stuff.
They touch on that a little bit, and it's not like they don't take advantage of that occasionally. There's occasions when the contrast of very, very serious, gritty, grimdark military shit and the magical girl sort of aesthetic and tropes kind of is fun.
Yeah.
But they don't take anywhere near like the advantage they could, and it's still not.
Right.
It doesn't outweigh everything else they do. Yeah, and it's also worth pointing out that Asuka has not agreed to work with Bosley. She doesn't want to. She's like, yeah, because she's seen enough battle for a lifetime, don't want to fight anymore, blah, blah, blah. But now there's this monster killing people in her town, so obviously she runs off to fight. Also, she finds out the boob nurse is facing this thing alone. And she's like, oh, she can't fight, and runs off. We get a little flashback to, it turns out that it was Asuka who recruited War Nurse, like begged her to be a magical girl.
Okay, so I forgot about this. They do choose to become magical girls?
Yeah, kinda. There is a thing where like some humans have more magical potential than others. So
Yeah, typical.
so you get like you sort of get approached. But it's this thing of like the War Nurse's whole thing is that she's shy, she doesn't want to fight and she's gentle and da 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 da. But like Asuka like insists that she help her and fight with her. And luckily she's in love with Asuka, so that she does that.
Hey. So it feels like a little like coercive.
It does kind of, yeah. I mean, it seems like Asuka is unaware that War Nurse is in love with her, which is insane when you see the sort of things that War Nurse does.
Right.
Asuka is just a moron. But it's also like, why did you want this person's help? I don't get it. Like she's not a good fighter. She's never really a particularly good fighter. That's always kind of her thing. It's just she has to engineer other ways out of like the situation she's in. But no, she forcibly sort of coerces War Nurse into fighting, and now War Nurse is, and like War Nurse said, okay, I'll do this as long as you promise to always stay by my side and fight with me.
Oh no.
And the thing is that War Nurse kept fighting after Asuka punked out and like just disappeared for whatever the fuck she's been doing for the last 3 years. If we cut to where the weapon is, it's already killed like a dozen or so people, corpses, blood, it's just fucking metal.
And as in weapon, you mean like it's a giant teddy bear, right?
It's a giant teddy bear, yeah. Giant big blue teddy bear. It talks like a Pokemon. It's just sort of walking back and forth going, bear, bear. It's playing catch with something, and then it loses control of the thing it's playing catch with, and you realise it's a human head. It's just sick. So sick.
Well, rad man.
And there's a little girl whose mum is unconscious, and she's holding like a little like Sailor Moon wand, and she's terrified. And so the bear spots her and walks towards her, and all of a sudden the bear has a mouth that's like all fangs and shit. And just when it's about to kill the girl, and I wouldn't have put it past the show to actually kill that girl. So
I mean, yeah, why not?
good on them for actually creating some tension there.
We've been robbed.
Boob Nurse shows up and they fight a bit. Because like she doesn't have a gun, all she has is this big syringe. Or any sort of like sword weapon type thing. She like jumps on the bear's head and injects it with a thing that makes it sort of half melt, which was kind of cool.
It's like acid.
Yeah. But then then she's getting her ass kicked. She's just getting her ass kicked, getting stomped on. Then Asuka shows up and there's like this, you hear Asuka's theme, which is like this sort of bad electro synth metal. It turns out someone like enhanced this bear. It's stronger than a usual Halloween class, but it doesn't matter. She kicks his ass, whatever. It's dead. Yandere is real mad about this. Like she's like, War Nurse, rapture. She has a fairy who's this little goblin guy who I fucking love.
Now wait, question, do they actually call them fairies?
They call them fairies, yeah. They're all called fairies.
Interesting coincidence.
Because they're from the spirit world, and the spirit world is
that makes
full of
sense.
fairies. But yeah, this little goblin guy, he's just a little like orc-y dude.
Oh, see this little guy.
So you can see that's what Yandere girl looks like. She's mad. And
yeah, he looks like a little orc guy. Like, meow.
Yeah, and he does. He's just sort of like a. He's great. I love him. So she's like just walking away from the scene. She runs into a cop who suggests that she get out of the area because there's an incident.
That fool.
And she stabs him in the eye with some scissors. Why not?
Like you do. Scissors are such a hot anime weapon in the 2000s. Yeah, you got like your Kill La Kill. You got the Genocider show from Danganronpa. Everybody loves scissors nowadays.
That's interesting.
It's all the rage.
This show does seem trendy in that way.
Yeah.
And of course it's the weapon that the super tortury girl is given.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Asuka and War Nurse have a emotional chat on a swing set in the sunset. Asuka sort of apologizes for ghosting on War Nurse after War Nurse correctly calls her out for doing that and that being shit. But she's mad. Because next day at school, there's a new transfer student. Guess who it is?
Oh shit. Is it giant boobies?
Yeah, it's giant boobies. Here's a picture of those boobies. Look at your podcast player for the boobies. Drink. And
Okay, hey, this is just a normal shot of this character from the bus stop. There's nothing strange about this. You're choosing to look at the giant boobs in the middle of the frame, and you're the weird one.
Yeah, that's me. No, you're right.
frankly.
That's me. I should respect the large boobs.
You drink.
Anyway, episode 3. We finally meet America Magical Girl,
Oh, yeah.
who's from Texas, it turns out.
Oh, shit, she's my people.
This is your representation cube.
Oh, I'm so excited.
She's freelance busting up drug dealers in Mexico, because, of course.
Oh, that's where she was?
Yeah, that's where she was. She's like, it's one of those things where, like, again, if we're doing like a mishmash of like neocon shit from like action movies in the 80s up till now, of course, like drug cartels are going to come into it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
She's one of the ones whose power is gun. She has a little gun, and when she transforms, it turns into a big gun that can like just put a hole in basically anything.
Oh, that's some yeehaw energy.
Yeah.
I recall her having a funny name.
Her name is Mia Cyrus, so basically Miley Cyrus.
That's right. That's why it was.
And her magical girl name is Magical Girl Just Cause Mia. Rapture, Just Cause, War Nurse. These are the sort of names we're
Yeah. Wait, but Warner's, her name is just Warner's, isn't it? It's not like Warner's something.
No, it's a War Nurse and her name, but I forgot what that is. So
I see. But I guess they just call her. Yeah, and I guess they just call the other girl Rapture and stuff.
yeah, they just
Hold
call-
up, hold up. If her name is, are you sure her name's not just Rapture? Are you sure it's Rapture Asuka?
No, they always say Magical Girl, Rapture, Oscar. They say their name
Because
after they
if her
transform.
name is Asuka, then how does nobody say like, "Hey, your name's Asuka, and that girl is Rapture Asuka"? Are you that Asuka?
because this show is very stupid. Anyway,
Okay, so Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus has this sort of tactical dress thing. Like it's like a long dress, but the dress is made up of ammo pouches that like go to like ankle length, but they're also
Yeah.
like separated. Like they're just like flowing bits. It just seems like she would get tangled a lot.
Yeah, it's like a giant like Liefeld pouches dress. It's really funny looking.
Yeah. It has
But
a
still,
lot.
like it's like over this like short pleated skirt and like a bikini top.
Yeah.
Oh, she's one of those characters that does the thing I hate, at least in the manga art that I'm looking at, where she's like a blonde white person,
Yes.
so her eyelashes are also super blonde.
Yes, yeah. There's a few characters like this. Anyone that doesn't have basically anyone that's not Japanese and is a girl has the eyelashes that are coloured in.
It looks so weird. That's not how that works.
It just looks very strange. It just looks like they have really, really bushy eyebrows. Or
Yeah.
like burns around their eyes or something. It's real weird.
I hate that.
I don't know why they do it. It just looks strange. Anyway, she has 2 gun friends with her. I don't know why they're there. They don't shoot anyone. And she is like more than capable of doing this by herself.
Yeah.
They find a dude who's been tortured, who's just reciting numbers, and then he gets boxed, as in a big magical box forms around him, and it keeps shrinking, and then he's in a cube like that other guy.
I'll teach him to respect the power of cube.
Yeah.
My other people,
Cubes.
the Cubians.
Someone says fuck, and we're back to school.
Wait, like they say fucking English, like fuck.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is where we learn that Warboobs is the undercover Yandere. Like when she meets Oscar's new friends, she does a bunch of dick measuring to prove that she's a better friend than the other 2.
Yeah.
She asks Oscar if she can move in with her and live with her.
I just assumed she was being like super dumb, anime, clingy, overly touchy friend person. Or I mean, like gay, but not like yandere, just too much.
No, she's like,
But she's a true yandere.
you will find out that she's genuinely insane in terms of her obsession with Oscar.
Huzzah.
And she's like, she's generally insane in general. But I think it's meant to be this is her cutesy thing.
Yeah, but then later you find out it's not as cutesy as you thought it was.
No. Well, it's sort of, no, to be honest, this aspect of her character remains her cutesy thing. That she is obsessed, like utterly obsessed with Oscar.
Oh, so it's yandere, but it's pretty cute and hot, right?
Yeah, it's cute hot yandere. Like it's there's a bit where there's a study group later where Oscar arrives at Glass's friend's house early, and then they hear someone just going nuts on the doorbell, and it's War Nurse because she's panicking because Oscar's alone with another girl. Like it's that sort of shit. Like anyway,
Yeah. Oh, I wonder why Asuka ghosted her.
that never comes up. Oscar considers her a really good friend.
Okay, but
and
does she
someone-
need an? That's true. Yeah, she doesn't ever acknowledge that. This is fucking creepy, I'm sure.
No, never. She doesn't seem to notice it's happening. Like it's that sort of thing. Except, and which is like it's the standard thing of one character's like massively in love with the other one is oblivious. But like This is stretching disbelief.
Yeah, cranked up to such a level.
Yeah. Glass's friend has another panic attack when someone pops a balloon. It's very sad. Cut to girls working out in their underwear, drink. There's a weird, just out of nowhere flashback to some kids torturing war nurse when she was a child, like bullying her.
Oh, bullies. Extremely powerful bullies are a staple of this genre that must be included.
But the bullying is really creepy, like for kids. Like it's basically she's on the floor of a communal toilet, and these kids are just chucking buckets of toilet water on her and talking about how she's filthy and has to be cleaned.
You have no idea. This is so typical. The bullying in the bathroom, especially in like a toilet stall by like ridiculously like dedicated and conniving bullies is like, yes, that is what happens in this kind of story.
Okay, fair enough. Well, all right. Well, they're doing that. They're doing that to warn her. She's traumatized by bullying. They don't really get into it right now. They just flash back to it and then come back.
So just so you know, she's got some fucked up shit.
Yeah. It's almost like it was just doing it for flavor, but then you find out that later on that this is a key part of her character. Cut to a maid cafe.
Why not?
There's a maid cafe. So the M Squad's hideout is disguised as a maid cafe.
God, he really just went for all of it, huh?
It did. But here's the thing though. It is also actually a functioning maid cafe.
Yeah.
Where the agents in M Squad have to pretend to be the employees of this maid cafe that anyone can walk into and expect service.
So now they all have a side job.
Yeah, and like why if it's meant to be a hideout or just meant to be a front, you wouldn't just pay some actors or actually just run a maid cafe? I don't know. Like it's sort of.
I just realized, like, when you're describing this show, it sounds so like almost like Symphogear levels of over the top.
It is,
but it's surprisingly dull the way it all plays out and looks and feels. Like it is not as madcap as it sounds like from this.
No, it doesn't really feel madcap at all because it's dragged down by the over the top sort of gritty, cynical sort of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's also quite slow. Like it's sort of slow and the jokes are crap and every joke, if it involves a girl, is some sort of sex joke.
Of course.
And it just sort of it gets really boring.
Yeah.
This maid cafe in particular, I just got really hung up on it because the other thing about it is that like there's no back room. If M Squad meet, they just meet in the cafe. So I really don't get the point of this cafe on any level. Like.
Yeah, like so if you had to have a meeting and a customer was there, you're just fucked.
Yeah, you're just fucked. You just have to stop the meeting and wait till they leave. There's two female agents in M Squad who both have to dress as maids. One of the agents is really into it, the other one isn't. So you've got your Genki and you've got your Sun.
I remember they all looked like they were drawn in different styles. That's what I remember about them.
That's the thing across this show in general, is that like every dude is drawn semi-realistically.
Oh yeah.
Every other girl is drawn like a cheap anime magical girl show girl, and then the magical girls themselves are drawn sort of the way Oscar's drawn, with the weird eyes and that are too wide for the head, and are meant to be like 15 or 16, but are like 25-year-old women.
Yeah, and just none of it really fits together.
No, it all really looks strange. Bosley talks some more about the new fight, like the war isn't over, the new fights against terrorist cells and drug dealers. Again, like I said, this is super like Bush era neocon fantasy about like the perpetual war against the hidden enemies of the state that will just be ongoing forever, which did start to creep me out.
Yeah.
We briefly cut to Queen again, and she's still on the floor in that towel. Like it's nighttime now in that shot.
So she's been there the entire time.
Yeah, it's been like a couple of days. We cut to hot dad cop. He's still torturing, but he loves his daughter. His daughter's on his phone lock screen.
Yeah, so is this guy supposed to be a good guy, or is he supposed to be like what's the presentation?
He is a good guy in the sense of these action films where he is on the good side.
He's
and
the 24 man.
He's doing what's necessary to get the job done and protect people. That's what he's doing.
But he doesn't get the job done, right?
Oh, he gets a tiny bit of a job done.
Okay.
They do learn about there's some group called the Babel Brigade.
Babel.
And that magical girls are their targets.
Oh no.
Pool! We're at the pool! Booty, butt, cooch, drink.
Just like high school swimming.
Yeah. Everyone's in swimsuits, long panning shots of all the swimsuits, real close-up cooch shots.
Yeah. I bet they don't even have the budget for the 2 butt shines on the butt cheeks.
We can only do one.
Oh, shake my head.
Glass's friend defeats her PTSD by jumping off a diving platform.
She did it.
Yeah, she did it. Yeah, then now she doesn't have PTSD anymore.
Wait, does her PTSD never come up again?
It does and it doesn't, but this is like the key moment when she like...
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to get over it.
There is a half-decent line where she says, I just decided I didn't want to feel terrified anymore.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't going to let being scared stop me from doing anything.
Hey, that'd be a cool line for Asuka to have.
Yeah. Because while she's saying this, Asuka's still considering whether or not she wants to fight with M Squad.
Oh, so it's like, oh, I need to be like that.
Yeah. But Asuka's question is, do I want to become a state-sanctioned killer again? Like, it's a little bit of a different question.
It's not quite parallel.
Not really, no. But anyway, she like that's the way she takes it. She thinks like, well, I guess everyone else is moving on with their lives. Maybe I should do the same. She still sort of thinks that she's better at protecting people by not fighting. War Nurse correctly points out that considering the power she has, not fighting to protect the thing she cares about is kind of the backwards way of thinking of it. War Nurse continues to be quite rational about this particular point.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Spunky Friend makes plans with everyone to see some sort of Sharknado type film. But then, oh no, at the end of the episode, she's kidnapped by the Russian Snape twins featuring Yandere Frog.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, Russian Snape twins. Here's a photo.
I forgot about the Snapes.
Yeah, two guys, they're Russian. They have really long faces. They look like Snape. They look like cartoon Snape. Episode 4, Asuka's having nightmares. But she's in her underwear on top of the covers, so sexy nightmares.
Oh yeah, sexy PTSD.
Yeah, she has a flashback to some sort of battle scene where her leader in the war died, a woman called Francine, who's like this older, blonde, magical girl, who tells her to continue the fight. So yet another person in Asuka's life saying, can you please just fight? Like, please fight. You have power, please fight.
Wait, I thought she decided to already.
No, she's still not
she's
quite...
She's still kind of on the fence.
Yeah, she's still on the fence. She's really taking her time, where it's episode 4, and she's, despite having fought a bunch of times, she's still not committed to it. Hot Dad Cop is very angry about his daughter being kidnapped. He's also mad because the CITDSCA, a subdivision of the MPA-SSCIF, has had no word...
do this, Japan!
has had no word from the MPD or the JSDF-GCC as to who did this. But it turns out it was the EAUF.
I hate you right now. I'm mad at you right now.
Anyway, so the EAUF kidnapped her, and their stated plan was they don't want anything. They're just going to kill her as revenge for the CITDSCA killing Kanth. Why they haven't just killed her yet is anyone's guess, but they haven't yet.
Well, they're lying about that, right? They have some other motive?
No, that is their motive. That's what they're doing.
Wait, I thought it was like a trap for Asuka or something.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but they also do intend to kill her.
Yeah, I mean, might as well while you're there.
Yeah, like Russian Snapes and Yandere Frog have been sort of hired by the EAUF to do this, but they're going to like take advantage of the situation themselves to do something else.
Wait, the EAUF is the terrorist organization that wants to kill magical girls, right?
No. The EAUF is just a terrorist organization.
Oh, just some unrelated terrorist organization.
Yeah, they're just terrorists. They do terrorist stuff because that's what terrorists do.
Okay.
Anyway, so they're in like an abandoned...
It's a yakiniku place. It's a Japanese meat, like you cook it at your table.
Yeah. Yandere is fucking with Spunky Friend by doing torture foreplay, I guess?
Yes. That's exactly what this is.
It's a very sort of explicit sort of... She's like frying up meat and talking about how much she loves burning meat, and she's cutting it with the scissors.
And Spunky Girl is like tied up and gagged just like in the chair across from her.
Yeah.
Just, being like, woo!
Yeah, and she's terrified, and like I guess I meant to find that hot or something. Anyway, the NPA-SSCIF have decided not to attempt saving one of their officers' daughters because if she does die, that will get them a funding boost. Just so cynical, so corrupt, so real.
Oh,
so real.
I love the government and its power so much, but sometimes,
His boss is introduced by a panning up shot that starts on her enormous boobs. Drink. The other thing is that the other group that could do something, the JSDFGCC, or the Magical Girl Group, they can't go in until the MPA-SSCIF ask them to. And the MPA-SSCIF won't ask them.
I hate you right now.
Because of the funding.
Just for making me hear these sentences.
They won't.
This is mean. This is bullying.
The NPA-SSCIF won't ask the JSDFGCC to go in because of the funding thing.
Okay, there's bureaucratic problems. I get it.
But no. But this next bit is key. They also think that this is too small fry.
Oh, I see.
For the JSDFGCC, which implies that the MPA SSCAF have self-esteem problems as an organisation. Obviously they can't go in. This bureaucratic nightmare. This group can't go in. That group can't go in. If only there was someone independent who was powerful and could solve this problem, who are they going to send? Who are they going to send? So before Asuka gets there, Spunky Friend has been strapped down in a bondage position and is being tortured with hot tongs by Russian Snape twins and Yandere Frog.
It's very sexual, and she's like tied to I swear a sex horse. I don't know what those are called.
She is tied to a sex horse that is making her torso, abdomen prone. In terms of anatomy, it's the best drawn thing in this show so far. It's the most accurate. It's the most lovingly detailed. This is where the love went in this show.
Yeah, they got some people who definitely have worked on hentai.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it is
100%.
This is 100% sexy torture. There's lots of tiny details. They heat up tongs to torture this girl and just sort of stick them on her flesh. And you see when they pull them away, you see melted flesh hanging off the tongs. You see little things like saliva accumulating around her mouth where the gag is. It's so gross. Again, this is the point where you're going, oh, okay, this is who this show is for.
Yeah. When do we get to the water part?
That's the thing. There's two Russian Snape twins, obviously. One of them is the glasses Russian Snape twin, who can also summon water spirits or something.
Yeah. You have unrelated magicians in this setting suddenly.
So now we're going to have some water torture too. So they at first they're drowning her, and then they've got a tube and they're forcing water down into her stomach, and it's
What kills me is they hyped up the yakiniku part of it so much, and then the main torture thing is this fucking water filling her mouth, sexy thing, and so it's this is bad thematically. Really sloppy work, guys.
I think they they'd had enough of the heat torture and wanted to do something else. Just mix it up,
This isn't as cool as we thought it would be.
Yeah, our respite from this scene is cutting to Goblin Fairy, who's just up on the roof eating a dove, he's bitten its head off. I fucking love this guy.
Yeah, he makes you smile.
He's such a little edgelord shit. It's great. Anyway,
That's cute.
Oscar and Warboobs break in the facility. There's a bunch of guards around. War Nurse has a truth serum. And they do one of those little, in old magical girl shows where you would have a little bit where the fairy or the talking companion talks to the audience and explains some little bit of tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a fun little old school magical girl trope. In this, they do that, but it's Sachu in his very cute voice explaining some sort of awful instrument of some sort of weapon that disembowels people, or in this case, it's it's a truth serum that'll get them to tell you what you need to know. Choo!
Yeah, that's a good bit.
Yeah, that's a funny bit.
Yeah, strong idea.
Obviously, it turns out this is all a trap for Oscar. This group that Yandere and Queen are working for, which is, I think, as far as I can tell, is just them, are trying to create a girl of mass destruction. And they want Oscar for that for some reason.
Okay, so they want to make her a super evil magical girl.
Yeah, they want to make her a big super weapon. Spunky Friend is hanging by her wrists from the roof. Oscar says, let her go. Yandere does the obvious thing.
Doesn't she just cut off one of her arms with a swipe of her scissors?
Yes. She snips the scissors and her arm comes off.
And what I don't understand is Yandere girl transformed?
No, she's not.
So are they all super powerful before they transform?
It's very unclear. It sort of implies that they're not really any less vulnerable when they're not magical girls. They don't have their shields or their weapons. But even then, their weapons are still sort of powerful because most of their weapons still work in the non-magical girl form. When Oscar's transformed, she has these I don't know what they're called, but they're basically these sort of curved knives that have a handle that she fights with.
Yeah.
Which, when they're not transformed, is just the tiny Karen bit. As the same with Miley Cyrus has a tiny little 2-shooter, and that will still fire bullets. But when she's transformed, it's a big gun.
I gotcha. Yeah. So they can still all kind of fight.
Yeah.
Even if they're not transformed.
The important thing is they can hurt people, no matter what form they're in. So there's a distraction. Boob Nurse grabs Spunky Friend and runs off with her. Does not take her arm. It's key. We don't see her take her arm. Oscar stays to fight to hold them off. So the Russian Snape twins stay there to fight Asuka while Yandere goes after War Nurse. It turns out the Russians are ex-special forces. There's a lot of Russians in this show.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're super into military stuff in Japan, you probably have an interest in the Russians.
Yeah, and I know that like there are a lot of Russian anime fans, and there's also a lot of Russian dudes who are just into military shit.
I feel like this isn't for them, though, because, like, those Snape guys almost look like the closest you can get to, like, racist depictions of white people.
Oh, yeah, no, they look like racist depictions of a Russian or something, or someone's idea of a racist depiction of something. I don't know what it's racist of, but it's racist. It just feels racist.
Yeah, it feels like it should be offensive to someone.
You do see other Russians later, and they just look like regular white people. So I don't.
Yeah. So those guys are just weirdos.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me that some people are just mages, apparently. That's just also a thing.
Yeah, there are mages. There are people who you can use magic, but generally those people are like in league with someone bad in the spirit realm.
I see.
Who's powering them up, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to do it.
So it's from the same source as the magical girls.
Yeah, well, if not the spirit world, then like the DCIS world. But yeah, like you see these guys fight, and they're like ex-Russian special forces. It's all very tactical, bro. Like it's all very much for a gun fetishist who buys tactical water.
Wait, I forget, does he use his sexy water demon to fight? Or was that only for sexy times?
One of them does. One of them has a little magical axe, and the other one has his sexy water demon. And they sort of fight as a pair, and Asuka's kind of struggling with it. Anyway, that's the end of episode 4. Episode 5.
Yes. So now this is all unknown territory to me.
Episode 5. All the episodes have dumb names, but episode 5's name is A Very Realistic Way of Dealing with a Problem. I really love his name. And it's also a line in the episode. Like,
Okay, I can't wait for context.
So anyway, War Nurse has reattached Spunky's arm. One of War Nurse's powers is that she has this magic ribbon bandage thing that you can tie around a person who can heal any injury, which includes reattaching severed limbs.
Wait, but you said that they didn't take the arm.
Yeah, it's a continuity mistake.
Oh.
She just has the arm now.
And I guess they could have gone back and gotten it at some point.
Who fucking knows? It's
Yeah.
it's the Pyrrha's armor of this show.
Yeah.
The bandages are kind of cute because they kind of like just flip out on their own, and they wrap with like a nice big bow
Oh, that's cute.
around like a horrible wound. That was one of those nice sort of
The juxtaposition.
Juxtapositions,
actually
yeah.
being played with. Yeah.
And also like she also has like that awful burn from the tong, so she just pulls out like a perfume bottle and sprays it on, and the burn is gone. Magic.
Oh.
Yeah. Yandere shows up to fight War Boobs.
I thought that, wait, didn't they already fight before? Or was she like still on her way at the time?
So War Nurse got to evacuate Spunky Friend, and now Yandere has shown up.
I see.
She is magical girl Barber Scissors Abby.
Her name is Barber Scissors Abby?
Yeah, Barber Scissors Abby. When she transforms, her scissors go from like regular sized scissors to enormous, almost taller than her scissors, that you can also split in half, so they're two swords.
You know, like your typical barber scissors.
Yeah, like your typical scissors. So we cut back to Asuka. She's fighting the Snape twins. Just because the Russians are enormous, Asuka looks the right size for the first time. Like she actually just proportionally, she looks like a 16-year-old girl now, apart from the boobs.
Yeah.
But you know, she just needs to hold on because M Squad is on the way, and it turns out that M Squad, has like 4 other dudes who are all like commandos, basically. The 2 women who were dressed as maids, and these 2 other guys. Bosley is on the phone to his boss saying that they have very realistic tactics for dealing with magical girls. I like the translation of "we have realistic tactics."
Yeah.
Not effective or not like things we can do. Realistic. This is going to be really realistic.
Yeah.
That's the whole selling point of the show is that like, what if magical girls were real? This is what it would really be like.
Oh shit.
Anyway, so Asuka needs an edge. All the magical girls have this thing where they can sort of power up their weapon and make it even bigger. And they do it by yelling magic calorie roll up.
Calorie roll up?
Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite fruit by the foot.
Did you have roll ups in the US? Those weird fruit sugar sort of things that were like a flat thing?
Yeah, and like they would have shapes in it that you could pull out.
Yeah. That's a roll up. That's all I thought of. But
Yeah, that's what a roll up is. Oh god, it's been so long.
yeah, and they did have a lot of calories because they were just sugar, even though they said they were fruit.
Yeah, and then if you like put the whole thing in your mouth, it was very exciting, but you gonna regret it.
Yeah, because your jaw's gonna be locked for like half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it makes her knife big. She cuts one of them in half. The other one she kills. Cool stare without looking. Whatever. So metal. The queen is informed by the little goblin demon that Asuka has killed the Russians, and the queen says, "That's my Asuka."
Oh, she likes her.
Mm.
She's yandere for her.
Yeah, and she's also blonde. And don't forget what I said about that scene earlier on when Asuka's leader, who was a tall blonde magical girl, died in her arms.
Yes.
Mm.
So it's her? She didn't die, or she came back or something.
Bud_think. Satchu captures the Goblin Fairy. In another, I quite enjoyed Satchu scene where like he turns up and he's saying, "I've got to stop you, justice and stuff," and the Goblin's going, "What the hell are you going to do? You're just a little mouse." And then Satchu just pulls out some knuckle dusters and punches him, like tiny knuckle dusters.
That does sound funny.
And yeah, it was cute. It was funny. Anyway, Warboobs is losing. Yandere has pulled out 2 Halloween class Desai.
Oh no. I guess like she just pulls out normal sized teddy bears and then they get big or something.
Yeah, they get really big. War Nurse manages to like hurt one of them, but then she's just being beaten to death by a big seal, which is funny. There's a bit of torture involved. Yandere like gets her scissors on War Nurse's leg and like she said she's going to cut the legs off, and she just puts the blade in just enough to make them bleed. So there's more of that sort of torture foreplay. But then M Squad's here. They really easily kill the Halloween class, which.
Wait, why'd you even need magical girls at all then?
Yeah, like this. Oh, okay, this was an option. Cool, all right.
Weird, yeah.
Asuka gets there too and cuts some of Yandere Girl's fingers off.
Ooh, nice.
But then suddenly they're in a cube. Oh no, they're all in a cube.
Cubes, they've come.
And the Queen shows up. Asuka is looking at her going, I know her. How do I know her? Why does she seem so familiar? But the scene just sort of ends because the Queen just takes Yandere away and goes. Then she's gone, and the cube's gone. It's fine. It's over.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Wait, so the Queen's power is just to make cubes that get smaller?
Well, that's one thing she can do. She can also teleport. That's all we've seen her do so far. And be sexy and lie in a towel.
Yeah.
Anyway, cut to hospital. Spunky Friend is there. Now Spunky Friend has PTSD, so now there's a third person that has PTSD.
We've all got PTSD.
Yeah, it's a party.
That's what the P is for.
Luckily, they take her to a nearby pool and throw her off the diving tower, and she's fine.
Wait, really?
No, she hates magical girls now. She's terrified of magical girls, which understandable. She was tortured by one.
Also, magical girl saved you, so
yeah.
And she wasn't transformed at the time, so
no, she wasn't. No, so she was just a girl in a school uniform with a creepy smile.
Yeah.
Anyway, War Nurse says that she can solve this by erasing Spunky Friend's memories from the last week, which will remove the PTSD because it's removing the memories and the cause.
Okay.
There's a moment when Oscar's like, "Wait, don't. We might not be friends anymore." But then Oscar goes, No, you're right. Okay, don't get rid of the PTSD. It's probably more important. Which, yes, right call, Oscar.
Yes.
And anyway, after 5 episodes of faffing about, Oscar finally decides to join M Squad.
Yay.
Now, at various points, this is what I mean by this list of like reasons why to join and to not join. At various points, she has feared losing others. She has feared becoming a weak person. She wants a normal life, but she also says the fighting's never over. She has a little monologue here about how when she was a kid, she wished she was a magical girl, but the real world isn't as simple as she thought. And she turns out she can't protect anything, even though she spent the whole series so far protecting shit. So that's just demonstrably not true.
Yeah.
Robo Bosley is like doing this sort of, I can't believe we have to rely on these girls instead of professional soldiers, when like these girls have had like minimum 3 years experience in the military already. Like it's just
and they're not that young.
No, they're
like,
yeah, and
like 17.
Yeah, it keeps doing this thing where it's acting like this is actually a serious sort of discussion of the idea of making young girls fight in this way.
Yeah.
But like obviously it's not realistic in any respect of the sense, or dealing with it realistically. Like I said before, her motivations are so just sort of jump around whatever sounds cool right now.
Yeah.
The thing that did stand out to me in this scene was that you get a little flashback to Oscar as a child watching a magical girl show. And you see this show, and the 2 magical girls you see in this show, in this one still shot, are better designed than anything else in this fucking show.
Yeah, I tweeted the picture of them. They're super cute.
They're really cute. They have normally drawn eyes. The proportions are good. The designs are nice. And as you pointed out, actually kind of unique.
Yeah, and the perspective's good. Like it doesn't look like a stupid parody idea of a magical girl show. It looks like it could be an actual real good, cute magical girl show.
Yeah. And you're looking at that, and then it cuts to child Oscar, who still has the same like dead 1,000-yard stare eyes as adult Asuka, but like they're hopeful.
Like much less rendered than what we just saw of this fake show.
It's such an unfortunate comparison to just like, oh yeah, but here's this show, here's this bad looking fucking show again.
Yeah.
It's so fucking shit.
F.
I will say it did get me a little bit. As dumb as all of Asuka's things have been, there was the shot of her as a kid holding a little like Sailor Moon type wand, really into this little show, and then it just cuts to her just looking really tired, staring up into the night sky.
Yeah.
And as bad as this whole show has been, that little moment there did make me go, oh.
Yeah.
But it's very manipulative.
I know that feel, girl. Getting old and dead inside.
Yeah, tired, old.
You.
So anyway, the MPA SSCIF has decided that they're going to continue using Spunky Friend as bait.
Why would anyone still want spunky friends?
Well, this doesn't come up in the show again. I think they actually sort of forgot about this plot point, but the idea was that she was targeted because they knew she was the daughter of a cop. But in particular, the cop who killed Kampf.
Okay.
And like Bosley recommends that they give her a new identity and move her away. But the MPA SSCIF decide better to use her as bait, and besides, she's got 2 magical girls around her all the time. That's probably the safest place she could be. It's like, okay, whatever, that's corrupt. Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
So Spunky turns up at school the next day. Oscar's like, oh no, does she still remember me? She does. I don't know how, but she does.
Okay.
All she doesn't remember is going to the pool. Because like she says, isn't it awesome? We're going to the pool for the first time this year. And Oscar has to go like up to the roof to dramatically let go of the Sharknado movie ticket. Because she's just so broken up that Spunky forgot about the pool.
Weird.
Yeah. And then Spunky shows up and says, hey, let's go see this movie. And it's Sharknado. And Oscar cries. And that's the end of the episode.
What?
I don't know.
Just go see the movie with her.
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe she's just like thinking about like her horrible decision she made to like erase some of her memory without her consent.
No, but it was the right decision. Like,
I would say so.
yeah. It's Oscar's like trepidation about that decision was entirely selfish on her part. She was just worried she was going to lose a friend.
That's true. Yeah.
But like Spunky was the one who like initiated the friendship in the first place because she's an incredibly pushy, annoying person. So there was no chance that she wasn't going to like just not
Still
be a friend again.
Yeah.
Anyway, the show, next few episodes, the show sort of hits a plateau where they're just kind of, they're spinning the wheels a little bit while they introduce a couple of the other girls that aren't in the team at the minute.
Oh yeah. We need Russia Girl and China Girl.
Well, no, not China Girl. China Girl we're not going to meet yet.
Okay.
We get back to America Chan.
Oh yeah, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, she's going to Japan. She's going to Japan to search for the brother of the guy that they saw getting cubed. They get to that guy's apartment. The brother is also a cube. That was the cube we saw at the start of the show, actually.
How is this related to Mexican drug cartels?
Yeah, this is what's confusing. Is that they think it's connected to Mexican drug cartels, but now they're getting information about this Babel. There's this whole Babel Brigade group as well. But then America Chan goes into the bathroom of this guy's apartment, and someone has written, "Who laughs last laughs best" in lipstick on the mirror.
Oh shit! The past hath come back to haunt her.
But only 5 people knew that saying. So what could possibly be going on? I mean, it's fucking obvious. Anyway, she just discovers this motto, and then they're attacked by a mage, which in this case is a giant boob lady. Mages, being humans who have had their magical abilities enhanced and have some sort of power.
Wait, so does everyone have magical abilities then?
No. Most people might. Some people might have latent magic potential, but until like someone from the spirit world or the Desus world does something with it, they can't do anything.
Right.
This mage is great. There's a misdirect with her earlier in the episode with being like an American tourist who's very cheery and like overly affectionate and all cliches about American tourists.
Yeah.
But it turns out she's actually Colombian.
Oh no!
And because she's Colombian, the source of her magical power is heat and cocaine.
Oh my god.
They actually say that.
Okay.
She already had some magical ability, but as is traditional of Colombian shamans, it has been enhanced with heat and cocaine. So now she's really powerful.
That is amazing.
That's incredible, yeah. And like I say, she's just a giant tits-out lady. Her and America Chan fight. We find out that she's, again in one of these weird neocon analogies, she's a terrorist who bombs things, and she hates America because her family were killed when the US accidentally bombed her daughter while they were attacking the DSAS during the war. So now she's a terrorist.
I see.
Which is, again, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, that's you're making an analogy based on like homegrown terrorism in like Iraq and Afghanistan and places, but that was just America invading those places. That wasn't America fighting off an alien invasion along with everyone else.
Evil teddy bear army, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like our media has done a disservice to the world, and the result is Asuka.
But it isn't like, what's important is that because there's a lot of talking in all these fights. They stand around explaining what they're doing a lot. It's one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
And she explains that it isn't even necessarily that she has ideological problems with America or their idea of, invading and imperialism and stuff. She's just really sad now because her daughter's dead, and she wants to make everyone else sad because she's sad.
Yeah, because why is she in Japan then?
Well, see, why American Magical Girl and this terrorist end up in the same Japanese apartment at the same time is never established. Like,
Oh, good.
like she's the terrorist is hired by the bad guys to attack Miley Cyrus, but how they knew they were going to be there and ended up there at the same time, never going to find out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess they knew that she was following that lead, and so they sent that girl to fuck with her, and she's like, yeah, I'll fuck with her because she's American.
Yeah, but Miley Cyrus turns up at this apartment like a couple of weeks after everything that happened there happened. And
Maybe they got super spies.
anyway, Miley Cyrus tells this woman that's not a justification for terrorism, being sad. They fight, and then before Miley Cyrus executes this woman, like point blank range with a gunshot to the head, the woman admits, yes, you're right, I was wrong to be a terrorist. And now she's dead. So
And Miley Cyrus kills her?
yeah.
This is the most American piece of media I've ever seen or heard of.
This is the thing. I kept sort of forgetting this is Japanese.
This is very strange.
It's very American. It's just like them doing a riff on this sort of American stuff. Because I know there is like a sort of neocon ultra-nationalist thing in Japan as well, but it doesn't usually manifest like this.
Yeah, it has a different flavor.
Yeah.
It's like it's someone who was raised like in a box with nothing but American action movies and
Yeah.
24 to
Yeah.
teach them about culture.
But specifically like the Bush era stuff. Like from like 2000s onwards. Like it's weird.
That is fascinating.
You also find out that Miley hates terrorists because terrorists killed her parents.
Oh, at least she has a reason to not like terrorism because that was requisite.
But like she also like works for the CIA. The CIA, her two CIA buddies get into a fight with a Voorhees class DSAS weapon, which is it's like a big dude in a mask with a chainsaw. That's kind of
Wait a second. Yeah, so it's like Jason?
It's Jason. Yeah,
It's a Jason reference? Oh, that's kind of cute.
it's Jason but a stuffed toy. Like
Yeah, that's funny though. Oh wait, so Halloween was a reference to the movie Halloween, probably then, not the holiday.
Potentially, yeah. I think that they all the names are kind of horror referencey a little bit. That's the most direct one. But anyway, yeah. So that's that episode. The next episode that we get introduced to Russian magical girl Tamara.
Yes.
Who is magical girl Phoenix Tamara. She's the only one whose design I actually kind of liked.
Yeah.
It's still busy and over the top, but she's sort of a military-inspired sort of kind of Utena kind of thing, a bit more flowy. And she has a Zippo lighter that turns into a giant flamethrower, which was kind of cool as well.
Yeah, and she looks kind of cute. Like, yeah, she has that military aesthetic, and she's the only one without, like, giant-ass gag boobs. I mean, maybe when she takes the costume off, she does have them. I don't know.
Fairly modest boobs for this show.
Yeah.
The basis of that episode is that you see M Squad going and dealing with some Russian mafia who are engaging in interdimensional human trafficking.
So M Squad is an international organization.
No, it's just Japanese. But again, in this era of American neocon stuff, they act like unilaterally across the world. They just go wherever they want to and do whatever they want to do.
Oh my fucking god, that's amazing.
It's so American. It's weird.
Yes, it's so strange.
Anyway, so yeah, there's a fight. Nothing of particular importance happens here. There's a bit of lore about how there's two magical portals between the other worlds and Earth that are permanent, and there's other little ones that just pop up randomly. That they have a hard time tracking, but they've spotted one where these Russian mafias handing over people to get magical gear and shit. And they've also hired another mage, and this mage is the first. She's not actually a magical girl; she's just a mage, but she looks like a magical girl, as in she's small, like she looks like a 10-year-old.
Oh, this is the lowly.
I should have seen this coming when I saw her.
She doesn't actually have any magic powers of her own. She just has a wand that sets off huge explosions.
Okay.
And fight, punch. They finally get to her, and Asuka cuts her arm off, another arm off.
Yay.
It's, oh man, it like, when they cut her arm off, she starts screaming for her mother, but it's okay, we don't need to feel bad for her because apparently she killed some cops at some point. Again, she's like 10, but whatever.
Yeah.
One of the military dudes, the M Squad guys, goes to execute her, and then Asuka points out that they could get information out of her instead. And for a second, I thought it was, or at least at this point, I thought it was playing it like Asuka's saying, "No, don't kill her. She can probably help us." But it sort of sounded like they meant, "Oh no, don't kill her. We can torture her."
Yeah.
And it turns out that is what they meant. Like,
oh, because I was gonna say, like, as a viewer, I would assume that's Asuka like throwing her a bone. You know, like
it kind of is.
I'll make it sound like it's a practical thing, but really, I want to help this kid.
It kind of is, but that's not what happens in effect.
Still getting tortured.
It might be that that might be what Asuka thinks happened, but that's not what happened in effect.
Yeah.
Russian girl doesn't show up during this battle. One of the Russian mafia guys escapes and takes a DCS pill that lets him teleport to a random place on Earth. Luckily, it's on land, which was, short odds, but whatever.
Yeah.
He teleports to a random warehouse in Japan.
Oh, how convenient.
And Russian magical girl is there.
Wait, so they were fighting in Russia, but Russian girl was in Japan?
Yes, in the exact spot where this guy was going to turn up, even though doing this was his backup plan. And it supposedly just goes to a random point. Like, he didn't know where he was going.
Yeah.
But somehow she did. She's there. There's a fight. There is one cool moment when he realizes he's going to lose. He stabs himself with a Desus knife that turns him into a bear.
Like an actual bear or teddy bear?
It's like he's like a Desus thing, but it doesn't look like a teddy bear. It looks like an actual like bear, but a sort of semi-magical bear.
Okay.
And it was kind of funny because he's like, "This is my trump card. This is how I get out of this." But it's like, he also mentions that he can't turn back.
Yeah, so it's just like, fuck it. I'm going to go out as a bear.
He's talking about how now he's going to be able to escape, but it's like, okay, say you did escape. You're a bear now.
Now you're a bear.
You're just a bear. Anyway, he doesn't win. She kills him.
Flamethrowers him or whatever.
Yeah, he explodes. And yeah, then that's it. That's pretty much those two episodes. In the other episode, there was a bit where the girls go to a Tanabata festival.
Yeah.
One assumes for alternate costume figurines.
Oh, they have yukatas on or something?
Yeah, they all, yeah.
That's pretty kawaii.
M Squad is there too. General festival antics. The festival is incredibly cheap. Like, right down to they don't even bother to put in like decent sound effects. It just sounds really quiet at this festival with all these people drawn in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap.
I don't understand entering this market in this economy. being like, I'm going to start my own anime studio and we don't have any money, but we're going to get a property and we're going to fucking do it. Why would you choose to do this?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Seems like a very risky business decision.
I don't know how popular Asuka is as a manga.
It can't be that big.
It's equally cheap is the thing. Like, this, we talked about this when we first watched it, but this show does have the feeling, it does feel like no one gave a shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to reconsider that now that I've gotten that really strong, like, alt-right military thing off of it, that like, okay, no, this does have a market of people who want this shit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If it's for them, then this might be delivering the hits. I don't know.
But it's still made with like $5.
Yeah, it's still made with like $5 and not a lot of love. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of scenes that they try to execute where they just sort of fuck it up because it's too cheap. Like, there's a bit where someone starts laughing manically because they've lost their mind, but it starts in a wide shot where you can't see what's happening, so it's just a still shot of someone lying on the ground while you hear laughing. And it looks extremely goofy.
Yeah. That's the audience.
So like I say, it sort of plateaus for 2 episodes. And then we get to episode 8.
Oh no.
Episode 8 is through 8 through to 12, the last episode. This is basically like the last little arc of the show.
Right.
Which means that we need a more concrete villain, apparently. Apparently Yandere Girl wasn't enough. Yandere Girl wasn't enough.
Was it the queen?
Yeah, Yandere Girl and Queen. I guess going to be more permanent villains. So for this little 5-episode arc they're going to do.
Wait a second. Is this is just season 1?
This is just season 1, yeah.
They didn't try to wrap it up?
Nope.
Oh, these motherfuckers. That is ballsy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I suppose
That's real ballsy.
I suppose to be fair, if they're following the manga's not done.
Yeah, but Sight at least had the foresight to try to wrap up the show version of it with a gecko ending.
Yeah. I mean, this is sort of it is a complete story in a sense, with like the traditional TV thing of go on to further adventures, but like, so it's not completely unsatisfying, except that it's an awful show and I hate it. But
all right, we'll see what I think about it.
Okay, so this is how episode 8 opens.
Okay.
We open with a scene with a man trying to sell his 17-year-old wheelchair-bound daughter to a brothel. She's missing a leg from the knee down. The father says, surely she could work here. I mean, all you need is a mouth.
Pretty dark.
Yeah, and the guy running the brothel just says, nah, we can't take underage girls. So
wow, what an asshole.
We then cut to a scene of the dad at home with the daughter, punching her in the face, beating her, knocking her out of the wheelchair, kicking her, stomping her, screaming that he wishes she was dead.
Trying to figure out in my mind, like, what character is this?
This goes on for about 2 minutes until suddenly this giant thing bursts into the apartment. It's like a huge man's body, really bulky, sort of like a barrel of a guy, who's wearing a tracksuit and gloves and has a hood on and a flu mask on. And all you can really see of their face are these glowing red eyes, but they're just 2 dots in like a black void. Okay. And he goes up to Dad and kills him.
Yay.
Picks the girl back up, puts her in the wheelchair, and says, do you want to be a magical girl?
Okay.
So, now this episode is a specific type of episode, it turns out. Do you know what this episode is?
An origin story flashback?
This is the beach episode! Cut to the beach! They're at the beach, fun, there's sunshine, there's the water, they're splitting melons.
What is this, Yuki Una?
They're doing the beach stuff. Oh, isn't everyone having a good time at the beach? Cut to the girl from the last episode being tortured.
Oh, the little girl?
Yeah, she is in her underwear, strapped down, face down on a sort of a bondage horse.
Of course.
Yeah.
A horse, of course.
And the person torturing her is War Nurse.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. War Nurse goes on to explain. She asks this girl a couple of questions, who hired you, whatever. Girl doesn't really know much. War Nurse asks the girl, what do you think of me? And the girl starts, yelling in desperation that she thinks you're lovely and that War Nurse is lovely and an angel and very cute and blah, blah. And War Nurse explains that she is not an angel. She did all of the Magical Five's dirty work. And she not only volunteered to do it, she actually enjoys doing it. She goes on to explain how, because she was bullied at school, the bullies didn't realize what they were creating. But the only person that ever stood up for her was Asuka, because they went to the same school. And she loves Asuka so much and knows that Asuka is, pure and emotionally fragile, which she has demonstrated to be, that she does all of the things that Asuka couldn't do. And as a way of protecting her and showing her love for Asuka, which is why she's now like an insane, torturous monster, essentially.
That's how that works. Checks out.
Yeah, and then we get into an actual lolly torture scene. She gives the girl this injection of a thing that heightens her senses, apparently. As she says that it makes everything much more sensitive, we get a shot of the girl's butt with one of the cables tying her down, running right between her legs.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize how explicit this is in terms of it just being so obviously lolly fetish shit.
Yeah, so it's it makes episode 4 look like nothing, I bet.
Nothing, yeah. No, this is just out and out, lolly fetish dominatrix porn. And it gets into spanking. She spanks her. You see her in an Iron Maiden, and this girl's screaming the whole time. Oh, the other thing is that Nurse has mentioned that she's got the girl's arm and says you might still be able to reattach it if you can tell me some stuff.
I see.
And there's a montage of the girl being tortured and screaming and everything while War Nurse is talking about in her head about how much she loves Asuka. And at the end of the scene, the girl's just sort of half comatose on the ground. Her arm's been reattached, and War Nurse leaves not having learnt anything. She didn't get any new information. She just tortured this girl for the sake of torturing her.
Oh, good job.
Back to the beach episode. Barbecue shrimp. Hey. Barbecue shrimp's good. Isn't that nice? There's...
Wait, so how is this torture scene played? Like, is it like treated like it's a serious thing?
Oh, it's quite serious. Yeah, it's
Okay,
It's quite.
It's not like wacky hijinks or something.
No, that comes later, because there is going to be some wacky hijinks torture too. But this torture scene is much like the other one in that it is meant to be. It's, I guess, meant to be.
Yeah, very serious and very sexual.
Yeah, very serious and very sexual. And beach episode, barbecue shrimp nurse, because she was running late for the beach holiday. She's here now, and oh no, Oscar's in a bikini, and they're sharing a room. Oh no, oh no,
Oh boy.
oh boy.
Doki doki.
So, the juxtaposition of the two or three things they're doing in this episode.
I mean, it feels a bit purposeful, like it has to be, right?
It's an incredibly meta joke if it is, and if it is, that is such a dark, fucked joke. Like,
yeah, it's fucked up no matter how you parse it. But
yeah, and it's also at this point that I realised that while the show's named for Oscar, she is not really the main character in a way.
It's Warner's.
Yeah, it's War Nurse. War Nurse is the audience surrogate, because Oscar is the pure, perfect, like, gritty, damaged, emotionally sensitive but very tough waifu. Whereas War Nurse is the person that the audience for this show is meant to relate to, I think. The bullied victim who gets power and now gets to indulge in this power fantasy where they've got access to their waifu and they get to torture and victimize people in a air quotes justifiable way.
Yeah.
That feels to me like who this is for.
And I'm strong where you can't be.
Yeah, this is why I was saying this show's audience terrifies me, because
Yeah.
this is definitely who this is for, and that's the appeal of the show, and that's the appeal of that character, and it's just, oh god, it's real bad. Anyway, so they introduced this little plot thread about how there's going to be a again neocon. There's going to be a World Trade Conference with World Trade Organization conference between like the interdimensional worlds. And obviously, everyone involved in the military is going to need to lay their lives on the line to make sure this goes well. Miley Cyrus and Russian Girl are being sent in for their respective countries. It's that weird contrast thing here of those two guys ever since the war have just been working in the military. Why is Oscar at school? Why is War Nurse at school? What are they?
Yeah. Well, look, we don't have schools in America. We learn on the field of battle. Especially in Texas. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. So we go back to the abused girl from the opening. It turns out that the big burly thing is actually a sort of like a demon-shaped robot that has a broken Somali child soldier in it. This broken Somali child soldier has the most fucked backstory, but he was found by what you assume is the Queen, and was given this new robot body. We find out that the girl lost her leg and her mother was killed by juvenile drunk drivers. And because they were juvenile, they're going to be out of jail soon. Like the one who was driving isn't even going to do 2 years. The justice system, so fucked.
What does this have to do with anything?
Beach episode. There's a wet t-shirt contest. They're doing CPR practice. Ooh.
We already had the beach episode. Wait, is this all in the same?
It keeps coming back. It just every time it
okay.
gets this edgelord serious bullshit, they just keep cutting back to normal beach episode bullshit.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah. The episode ends with the girl is taken into the forest and presented with the now grown-up former teenagers who killed her mum and injured her, and is told, if you want to be a magical girl, you have to kill them. You have to take 10 minutes each time. And the Somali child soldier explains his backstory, which was when his village was attacked by a warlord, he was only allowed to survive if he killed his parents and raped his sister. And he did it. And so the girl kills them, is very grateful, and that's the end of that episode.
So fucking stupid.
It's just, it was already a dumb edgelord show.
Yeah.
But it really cranks it hard in this episode. It's nuts.
Because it's like they realized that there like wasn't enough. Like, could you not find enough opportunities to work in the edgelord in with your like actual premise and characters you had going? You just had to have people show up and be like, "Here's something crazy."
Yeah, here's something just
that has
so
nothing
dark.
to do with anything that you've seen. What if sexual assault?
Yeah, like child abuse, sexual assault is essentially rape, murder, death.
Yeah, anyway.
All the classics.
Episode 9. This famous general who was the one who gave the girls their powers is here as a representative of the spirit world.
Okay, so he's an alien.
Yeah, yeah.
Do the aliens look any different?
She's basically a giant elf
Oh, okay.
in like a fantasy bikini with huge tits.
Hooray.
Yeah, she like... She immediately hugs Oscar and buries Oscar's face and her boobs and is going on about how much she missed her and blah, 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 and loves her. And Oscar, like, you know, gets free and tells her to back off. And then she's like, oh, you seem sad. Do you want to play with my boobs? And drink. And it's that sort of just dumb bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We cut back to the beach again. Technically, this is still a beach episode. The rest of the series is set in Okinawa.
Oh, okay.
So Glasses and Spunky are just still on the school holiday at Okinawa.
How's their PTSD doing?
They're fine. They're both fine at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. New evil magical girl and the giant robot like just run into them randomly and have a quick scene and then leave.
Wait, so she is a magical girl now?
Yes.
Because I thought there were literally only 5 left in the entire world. Oh, but I guess Yandere girl was a new one too.
Yeah, she was what they called an illegal magical girl.
Oh shit. Unlicensed.
Yes, yeah, basically, yeah. Anyway, all the girls all meet up again, like the you know, War Nurse and Oscar and Russian and Miley Cyrus. It turns out Russian tsundere. Every time you see her, she's very cold. Like she's, you know, pleasant, but she's cold.
Yeah.
But then the second you see her alone, she actually is like in conniptions because Oscar was very emotional and cried when she saw them. And she's in conniptions about how cute Oscar was. And it turns out she's a huge softie who loves cute things. And she's got like a giant teddy bear in her room she hugs and fucking whatever.
I think I saw a screenshot of her in her underwear hugging a teddy bear.
Yep, that's her. So she's in her. So Russian girl is in her room thinking about how cute Oscar is. War Nurse is in her room looking at photos of Oscar she took in a bikini. And just, I did enjoy this detail. What's America, a girl, doing in her room?
Guns?
She's polishing her gun.
Hell yeah. Yeehaw, motherfuckers. We only got one love in our life. Pew, 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 pew.
It's representation.
Yeah, it's always really funny when, like, a character is supposed to be in universe, like, super beautiful, and, you know, like, then you cut to them and it looks like shit.
It's actually like, I don't know if you can actually, like, really correctly tie it back to this, but it's a very 80s shitty action film thing as well, where characters will spend a lot of the screen time telling you how awesome the main character is, like even the villains. They spend ages I don't know if you've ever seen Commando.
No.
Oh, okay. Commando's amazing. As like an early Arnie film of that era, it's iconic as like the most archetypical example of that, what those films were like.
Yeah.
All the acting is very bad. The dialogue's awful. The main villain is this other commando who is this really weirdly campy Australian dude with a handlebar mustache and wears like a fishnet vest the whole time.
Is he a real Australian or a fake Australian?
No, real Australian. He has a real Australian accent.
Oh, amazing.
He's the main antagonist, but he spends almost every scene he's in, he's just talking up Arnie. And like Arnie's character, that he's so tough.
Yeah, it's just like superpower fantasy.
Yeah. Everyone's amazed by just how cool Arnie is and how tough he is, and he'll kill anyone within 5 meters by looking at him and blah blah. And that's kind of like what they're doing here with Oscar. Is like it's just people just talking her up all the fucking time.
Yeah.
While she's also like, you know, super emotionally vulnerable and weak in some ways and all, you know, that sort of shit.
Oh.
There's this bit where General Tabira brings the girls. She says she has new like magical girl outfits for them that'll give them a huge power up. But then they're revealed to be really skimpy bikinis, and all the girls tear them up because they think that's gross, which really feels like the show trying to have it both ways.
Yeah, that's a very Kill la Kill vibe thing. It's like where the show is actually doing it, but it's also a joke that we're doing it. But we're still doing it though.
Yeah, you've spent the entire show up to this point doing it constantly, like to the point where it's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's also some other magical object there that they bring. This is just like, this is a big magical object. It's MacGuffin. You never see it, but it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, the evil guys attack this base where this portal is, where the meeting's going to be. So this big robot dude and the new magical girl, they have a ton of DSI just sitting around. And they set them all loose. So a bunch of DSI attack the nearby holiday town. I
can't handle they're just also randomly being robot people now.
Yeah, well, he is a robot. I couldn't tell at first because it's like a Japanese Oni mask, like it's sort of inspired that way.
Yeah.
But no, he's a robot. It turns out he's a robot. It turns out actually he's a mech because when you eventually see the dude that's in him, the dude is just like a torso and a head and one arm.
I see.
He was running in with his spine. So yeah,
it's just like such an unrelated thing to the whole like we've already got like these magical girls and mages and all this stuff, and it's like, why not also cyborg?
Yeah, why
mecha
not?
boys?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't my biggest issue with the show at this point.
Yeah, obviously. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's a big attack. A bunch of DSI are attacking the base. Another bunch of DSI are attacking the town with the civilians. So the magical girls get split up. Miley Cyrus runs off to protect the town. The Russian one is part of the forces on the ground in the base that are trying to keep everything at bay. And then Asuka and War Nurse are sent downstairs to protect the general because the general's route home has also been cut off. And it turns out that's probably who they're actually after is her.
Is the general not like some powerful fighter person at all?
She is, but there's the girls are stronger,
Yeah, just in case.
so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Anyway, this is sort of funny because this is meant to be this is a big action finale that runs over 3 episodes, but the show is too cheap to pull this off. Like so much of it is panning over still frames,
Right.
or conversations. It's really dragged out. Like it just, yeah, it's really boring.
Yeah. I
They're
mean,
already
this is a fourth of this show.
Yeah.
time-wise.
It's the fourth of the show is this fairly slow battle, which doesn't have a lot of twists and turns either. It's just sort of, for a while they're holding him off, then they're not holding him off, and then it comes down to a battle with Oscar and War Nurse downstairs, which, of course.
Yeah, they're just trying to like die hard it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Anyway, so it opens with the DSI attacking the city. There's a bunch of implied rape, drink. Yeah.
Wait, hold up. Are the bears raping people?
There's some DSI that look kind of like goblins, and yeah, you see like
Okay.
you see like flash frames of like clothes being torn off women.
Hey, it's Goblin Slayer.
And there's one point where you actually do see some girls that have been bent over by some goblins. It's real gratuitous and fucked.
Yeah. It's Goblin Slayer. It's a cameo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Glasses and Spunky are running around the town trying to escape. Miley Cyrus turns up and starts defending people.
Yeah, America. Pew, 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 pew.
There's a tank that has like magical shells that blows things up. Basically, there's a bunch of defense. At first people are winning, but now they're losing. The girls are starting to bleed a bit more. The defense is starting to collapse. The robot and the evil magical girl, whose name turns out is Whiplash, are on their way. They haven't actually entered the fight yet. There's a bit where Oscar's listening to all the soldiers screaming for help over the radio, and for the 50th fucking time starts questioning what the point of all this and should she be fighting. Like it's just this again, and
Yeah, is this the time to be having this now?
she just does it. It just whenever they need to kill time, just have Oscar reflect on shit again.
About the horrors of war. War never changes.
Yeah, but then like War Nurse hugs her, so it's fine. Mia and the friends hook up. The glasses friend saves Mia when she points out a goblin that was about to shoot her. So another neocon moment. Mia gives a little speech about how why does she fight? Well, military life made her strong and gave her a purpose in life. So that's all the purpose she needs.
I'm saluting right now.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
And so this is like 2.5 episodes in, and Oscar and War Nurse haven't fought at all yet. They've just been standing by a door, waiting for the fight to come to them.
Okay.
Finally, the fight comes to them. Robot creates all these little mages who trap Oscar in like a web. The evil Whiplash attacks War Nurse, because that's apparently her job. And so the demon robot is free to go and kill the general. The general has had a bunch of like little fairies of her own. There's like one that was like a little wolf, and there's two that were like two little cats. And just as the demon is about to get in there, the wolf pops up, and he's now like a huge jacked furry.
Oh shit.
Looks a lot like a massive version of Star Fox. He gets his ass kicked straight away.
Oh.
That doesn't work. Oscar finally, like with Sachu's help, Sachu pops out with like Matrix style 2 guns and is just like flying sideways through the air shooting at shit.
That's kind of funny.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
So she manages to escape and get after the general, but she gets there and the robots like stomped the general's head into the ground. And is it too late? Episode 11. Nah. But the evil guys did steal and teleport away with that magical MacGuffin they mentioned earlier. So that's...
Oh no, the MacGuffin.
MacGuffin's gone. No.
Did they say what it's supposed to do at all, or is it just...
Nah, just a MacGuffin.
Okay.
It's just a magical weapon of some sort. Cut to a blonde tan woman in Thailand getting a massage.
Is this Queen?
No, this isn't Queen, because this isn't this. We see her face, and it's not Queen.
Okay.
We then see her in the shower playing with her boobs and saying, oh, they got bigger.
Yeah.
And then she sees the news about the attack in Japan and says, oh, man, I hope they leave me out of this. Cut away.
What?
I don't know.
Is this the China girl?
Turns out, yeah, it's the China girl. She's had a change of identity, so she's now like a tan blonde woman.
Oh, she got like super plastic surgery or something.
Something, yeah. Like we get a little bit more action with her later, where she's like, she turns out she's now a mercenary. She just fights for money and is attacking some Chinese mafia or something.
Wow, how interesting.
Yeah, and she has like an underage hacker as well who she makes sex jokes with, which is rad.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's and we really don't find it. We see one more scene with her where we establish that, and that she got a change of identity, and
She's not for this season.
yeah, she's for season 2, I guess. Which I don't get why you would even bother putting her in this one. I guess you were, filling time, I suppose.
Thinking that you'd have a second season of this. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The show has done this thing a couple of times where in one episode they'll set up something for the next episode, but they don't give you any context around it, so it's just kind of confusing.
Yeah.
And you do find out what it is, but at the time you're watching it, there's no clues at all. Everything is like, because it's always the start of a new story.
Yeah, and there's ways you can do that, but it has to be interesting in its own right in the meantime. It can't just be like, look at this rando, you have no idea who she is. She's somewhat relevant. Haha.
Yeah, that's all they are. And in this, particularly with China Girl, it doesn't even pay off because she doesn't end up involved in the plot at all.
Yeah.
It's just a tease for next season.
God.
So back to the action. The robot, it turns out, is an anti-magical girl weapon. So Asuka's getting her ass kicked.
Oh no.
Yeah. Whiplash locks War Nurse in a grid sort of box with her. And it turns out that before she lost her leg, Whiplash was really into karate. It's more conversational combat. She's talking about how good she is at karate.
Wait, so does Whiplash have a magical leg now, or?
Yeah, she was given like a robotic prosthetic leg.
Okay.
That is really strong and has blades in it and shit. All that sort of stuff. Her costume is fucking terrible. It's like it's like a bad swimsuit.
Oh, is she the one with the purple swimsuit thing?
Yes, that's Whiplash.
Okay, yeah, because I did see pictures of her on Google, and yep.
She then, but she says something that triggers War Nurse's crazy bullying victim mode. Like, because she gets like the crazy face and it's like, I'll kill you. But like, it's as if they thought there was a nice version of her that's now been switched out.
But it's just the same.
We already saw the nice version. She's like a complicit torturer. Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
it's just like, it's not like, I can't believe she has this other side to her. It's like she was also torturing someone.
Yeah. This is just the side of her that's more angry, and it turns out she's not any better at fighting because like she tries to fight some more and loses and gets pinned. But War Nurse is once again spurred on by the thought of not being a bullying victim anymore and wins.
Hey.
It really does feel like that was her moment of overcoming her own trauma, and it's meant to be like a celebratory moment. It is such a fucking incel fantasy. I hate it so much. Like the idea that like, the way to overcome your bullying is to find a way to manifest it so that it helps you be more violent, and you get to beat the shit out of someone and then you win.
Someone who's not even really like a bully. She's like someone who was victimized, and then so they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same person. This girl is way more of a victim than fucking War Nurse.
I'm a victim.
Anyway, so Asuka's getting her ass kicked. You think Asuka's dead because a giant slab of concrete falls, and then you just see her arm sticking out.
I didn't think Asuka was dead.
But no, but neither did I. But the other thing is that you don't even think that's her under there because we've already cut arms off with no consequence 2 times in the show.
Right.
And her arms just come off, so she's just standing there with her arm off.
Oh, they love to do that.
What's weird is that the robot thought she was dead, and was about to walk off, and then Asuka basically figures out that she has to like cut a particular thing. Like she finds the weak point basically.
Yeah.
But rather than like pretend to be dead and jump on with the element of surprise, she has to of course step out and say, "I found your weak point," because everyone talks too much in this show during combat.
She has to stand very still and talk at him.
Yeah, they have a conversation about how fucked the world is. There's nothing good about humanity. People are just horrible to each other. This is like this Somali kid's, reason for doing what he does, which honestly, in his case, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, fair.
But like Asuka's like, no, there are things worth protecting, and she hits the shield generator, and then Bosley shows up with the axe the Russians guys had, and they win.
Yeah.
I mean, they also lost because they lost that magical thing.
Wait, what'd she do with the axe?
Oh, she hits it. She hits the robot.
And the robot dies?
And they win. Yeah, the robot explodes to the point where the kid, who is just a torso and a head and an arm, like flies out of it and just lands on the ground. So
Is he still alive?
yeah, he's still alive for a bit. War Nurse turns up, dragging unconscious Whiplash just behind her, like she's run the entire way, just dragging her along. And at first I was looking at it going, why have you done that? But then we find out. It's so that Whiplash can wake up a bit and see the Somali kid. And the thing is, they've had like a friendship thing building where like, you know, they relate to each other on the same level because they've both been through trauma. And...
Oh no. Oh dear.
So with his last breath, Somali kid tells Whiplash, hey, by the way, you know the accident that killed your mother and mauled you? We arranged that. Because at some point somewhere we saw that you had good magical potential and wanted you to be a magical girl, and we thought that would be the best way to recruit you if you'd been through some trauma. Anyway, he ends on a sincere wish for her to try and find some happiness in her life and then dies.
Wait, so what about the guys that supposedly drunk hit them?
They were victims as well. They were just, the car was magically controlled to hit them. So those kids, they weren't drunk. They were just the kids who happened to be in that car at that time.
I see.
So she killed innocent people as well who'd already been to jail.
It sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah. So he wishes for her to live a happy life. And she goes crazy. She just. This is the scene where she just starts laughing manically.
Oh, while she's lying on the ground.
Yeah, and Oscar and Warner are looking at her, going, "Oh, she's so sad." And like they have the shot of her being transported away, and for some reason she's transported away on a bondage horse. Like they're not even bothering to come up with a reason for doing this anymore. She's just on a bondage horse. That's how they send her away.
That's awesome. Just fuck it.
Yeah, who cares? We know what you want.
Yeah.
The battle's over. They go upstairs. Everyone salutes them. Big moment. There's this one soldier. This feels like a bad translation, but there's this one soldier who you see him in 3 scenes. In the first scene, he says, "Magical girls are monsters. They're just as bad as the DSI. They scare me." Right.
Right.
And then in the second scene he's in, Phoenix, the Russian girl, saves him from something. And then in the third scene he's in, this guy he was talking to says, do you still think they're monsters? And he says, magical girls are pieces of shit. And the guy says, you think they're pieces of shit? This guy says, yeah, what kind of piece of shit would make teenage girls fight?
Oh, so it seems like something got translated wrong there.
Yeah, something got messed up there. 'Cause it's a very obvious bit of like, oh, it turns out, they're not so bad. But it's like something went wrong there.
Yeah, maybe he was like supposed to be saying like it's bullshit, because sometimes the object of a sentence is vague in Japanese. So maybe he's saying like the concept of magical girls is bullshit. They shouldn't have to fight like that.
Yeah. But you're translating it as pieces of shit. Anyway.
I can't believe this amazing show had a rushed sub job. They didn't put their A team on it. I can't believe.
Anyway, and the girls all go back to their respective countries. It's a bit sad. Episode 12, last episode. So there is an episode after the main battle is finished.
Okay.
Episode 12 opens with... It opens with Miley Cyrus delivering an anti-Apple computer rant in a McDonald's in a flashback.
Okay, tell me more.
It goes for about a minute, and she's just talking about how, the way everyone wants this new phone, and so, but they don't have an online ordering system, so you have to like queue up to get it, and all these people have to wait in a queue, and they're just doing that so that they can have photos of people queuing. It's bullshit.
She's giving this speech.
That's the speech.
Is that their way of showing that she's like woke?
No, because everyone else in the scene has the same reaction that the audience has, which is, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, that flashback ends. That was that. I don't know. We go back to that scene eventually, but like at the time, that's
okay.
That's all you get. There's one more good Sachu moment. Oscar and War Nurse are typing up their reports on the after action reports in the maid cafe. Oscar sort of complains that she has to do these reports while all Sachu has to do is sort of float there and eat junk food, which he's doing. He complains that he had to write a report too. She says, I know your reports are just a few paw prints on a piece of paper, and he tells her that's racist and then leaves.
Oh.
Though he also admits, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He sounds good.
Yeah. There's... okay, so Whiplash.
Okay.
She is tied up in War Nurse's torture chamber.
Like you do.
War Nurse is about to torture her. War Nurse actually literally says, I'm pretty sure you don't know anything, but I need to torture you at least once to make sure you're not lying.
Just get a quickie in.
That's not how torture works. You can't get reliable information out of a torture victim. That's a whole thing. Like,
Look, not in this kind of world. Not in our 80s action movie world.
Whiplash says, make it hurt. I'm used to it. But unfortunately, this one's a bit different because Whiplash is like at least drawn like an adult. This is more of a kinky sex torture scene.
You didn't think the lowly one was kinky? It sounded pretty kinky.
The lolly one was kinky. This one is more explicitly like sexual, like straight up sexual, where she gives her the injection that makes her ultra sensitive, and then just like is like molesting her breasts and trying to make her orgasm, and then starts torturing her, like sticking a pin through her nipples and all this shit.
Oh my! Wait, do they show the nipple?
No, I mean it's through the bra and stuff.
Okay.
There's a couple of other unimportant scenes. We come back to the torture. You're going to love this bit.
Oh, boy.
It's post-torture, and she sort of wakes up, and Warner says, hey, look, I brought a dog along. Have a guess.
Is it a butter dog?
No.
Do you know what a butter dog is?
What is a butter dog?
It's a dog that you train to lick down there.
No. Okay. No, it's not that. Good guess. I wouldn't have put it past them, but no, it's
I
not
know
that.
that from Gantz, which is another edgelord manga property. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's worse. It's worse.
Oh no, what's the dog?
The dog is...
Oh wait, it's the little girl, isn't it?
It's the little girl on all fours with a collar who woofs on command.
Oh my fucking god.
And yeah, she barks. I'll be honest, I gave up at this point. I just started skipping through this scene.
Yeah.
Because I just really couldn't...
Like, obviously nothing's going to happen.
I really couldn't do it anymore. I read the cliff notes. What basically happens is War Nurse recruits Whiplash and has recruited this girl as well to work in supporting roles for M Squad. Because she says that the thing with magical girls is that they're hard to create and they're too rare and valuable an asset to just destroy.
So they just have a dog girl now?
Yeah, except she's been brainwashed to be really happy with the whole arrangement of being a dominatrix dog slave. Like, she thinks it's awesome. Whiplash is told, yeah, you're going to be working for us now. She's fitted with a collar that will basically incapacitate her with intense pain if she tries to run, like just escape.
Oh, Suicide Squad, it's the best.
It has like funny music as it cuts to the bondage girl, who is still in her underwear, I should point out. And she thinks to herself, this is such a happy ending, woof. The second last shot we see of Whiplash is her in an empty apartment that she's been sent to with the collar. And she's just a slave now. This is such a disturbing story.
This is what I don't understand about shows like this. Why isn't this just a porn?
Yeah.
Why go this far and not make it a porn?
It's that thing of there used to be that market in cinema for softcore porn, which was like action films that had like a bunch of tits and maybe a bit of like light sex.
Yeah.
And this feels like the same thing where but this is so much closer to just actual porn. And this thing in particular is like specific kinks. So
why not just make it porn? We have the internet.
For clarification, I'm not calling lolicon a kink. That's a separate thing again. That's even worse. But you're right. It is so close to porn. And they haven't put like a ton of effort into the fucking story either. So
yeah, it's just getting to those things like, and I mean like Japanese porn in general seems to have like a lot more story than English porn. I feel like is a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like if they just had explicit naked people, this would be just any old hentai.
Yeah, it essentially is. But like it's hentai with like a fucking alt-right flavour to it. Like,
yeah, I'm sure those hentais exist.
I suppose if you consider like magical girls a kink too, that's sort of rolled in there. But
that's the other thing I don't understand. It seems like they didn't really want to make a story about magical girls in any way.
Not really.
Because it's like as soon as they have the opportunity, they're like doing all these other things that have nothing to do with magical girls, with like the robots and the bombs or whatever and guns. And it's like did some marketing guy just be like, make it about magical girls somehow, smoking my cigar?
The magical girl part of the story, or the part of the characters and all of their sort of the things that they do, is sort of integral to what's happening in a way. Like it is sort of built in.
Yes.
Like all the tropes are there, the way they fight. Like it's essentially it's less sort of magical girl stuff, I suppose, and it's more magical special ops soldiers.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like if they just had like wizard magic that wasn't, quote unquote magical girls, would it be any different? I guess slightly.
I think what the magical girl thing brings to it, unfortunately, which is similar to Yuki Yuna, is that you get to see damaged young girls suffering, and that's what this brings to the table.
Oh yeah, and it's like a built-in excuse for it because like, oh, it's a magical girl thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a final little sort of party at the maid cafe. The two slaves are now the two maids at the maid cafe.
Oh, good.
The little girl in particular is dressed in a much more skimpy maid costume than the other maids are, which...
Like, if someone walks into that maid cafe, what do you tell them?
Again,
I feel like they would immediately call the police.
Well, do you know what happens? They go to the maid cafe because Spunky Girl found out it exists and thinks it's just a regular-ass maid cafe. So they go. And they go and they don't think anything of it, of the little girl. Like, there's a point at which, at this point, it is all straight wacky. Like, it's a wacky, funny scene because the food's bad and, like, the waitresses are bad. Like, the little girl's thing now is that she's clumsy. So you see her running along with 2 cups of coffee and then she drops them and they smash. And then it immediately cuts to a shot of War Nurse threatening to inject her with the ultra-sensitive shit. But it's all done with funny faces. Like, so they're making jokes about her torturing the little kid now. Like, that's where we've gotten to with this character, is that now we're doing it as a wacky lol, haha, after we've done it totally straight face seriously.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so fucked. It's
yeah, this might actually be worse than Sight. At least the part of Sight that got adapted into the anime. The manga of Sight gets way, way worse than the longer it goes on. But it sounds on that level, certainly.
Yeah, it's genuinely sort of upsetting at this point because, again, all I'm thinking of is the sort of person the people who wrote this, but then also the people who want this, like who think this is funny and like, yeah, it just, ugh. Anyway,
I'm suddenly remembering there was a guy who tweeted at me saying that he was watching Asuka with his family, and I warned him about the porn scene in episode 4, and he was like, oh, I'll make sure to warn them because like I don't have a problem with that kind of thing, but they might. And I was like, now I'm just like, find them and help them, please.
Someone call child services, please.
I am fear.
Yeah, you would have to be so heavily desensitized to not think twice about this at this point in this show. Like,
yeah,
it's just so out and out about what it's about, which is like sexualized teenagers being tortured, like, and even like what looks like a preteen. Like, it's real bad. Anyway, another military analogy where Glass's friend talks about how she's so happy that she lives in a safe world, but it's only through the sacrifice of magical girls that everyone can live peacefully, as long as those magical girls are able to go off and fight unspecified bad guys, you know?
Yeah.
That's how the people at home get to live free. Mm-hmm. Freedom.
Wink.
Freedom fries. Cut to Queen fucking Yandere girl.
Oh yeah, she still exists.
Yeah, they discuss how awesome season 2 is going to be. See you later.
Wait. When you say Queen fucking Yandere girl, you mean that they're actually like they're boning down?
Yes, quite explicitly they're boning down, and Yandere's crying out, "My queen!" As she, Anyway.
Wow. Cut
to Oscar and War Nurse on the roof discussing the upcoming summer break and cultural festivals. Oscar sees her dead friends, like all the other magical girls that died before the series even started. Now it goes back to like what she really wanted to fight for was a normal life. She apologizes to War Nurse for ruining her life. And War Nurse says, "No, I want to go on fighting forever," which is just the most disturbing thing, like treated like it's meant to be like, oh,
happy
cute.
ending.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of it. There's they go back to that McDonald's scene again, and it's like it's those 5 magical girls plus their dead leader talking about what they want to do in the future, and all the things they say are the things they're just doing now. Like the 2 who are in the military are in the military. The one who becomes a mercenary says, "Yeah, I want to become a mercenary because I love money." Asuka's the only one who doesn't know what she wants to do. And Francine, former leader, almost certainly the Queen, says, she'll point out, every time you've
So
seen
this is all
her...
a flashback.
This is all flashback, yeah.
Okay.
Every time you've seen Francine, who was almost certainly the Queen, she's been like hypersexual and molesting the other girls. And Asuka says, "I don't really know what I want to do." And Francine says, "Just be open to new things." End of the show. And that's
So season 2 when?
Magical Girl Spec Asuka. That's it.
6 seasons in a movie.
It's just...
Again, I don't understand why you make something like this and not just make it porn.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this can be shown on like streaming services like Verve because it's not porn, I guess. So you can show it to teens.
I mean, maybe this is just because we're both asexual, but like the idea that you would go to a public place to watch anything with the intention of giving you a boner just confuses the fuck out of me. Like,
Yeah.
but maybe it's because I'm not horny all the time.
Wait, I don't think you're supposed to watch Asuka in public.
Well, but that's what, if I go back to that example of like 80s softcore action films,
Yeah.
they were in cinemas and they were designed to arouse you.
Yeah, and I guess it's the same way with like strip clubs or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And is this just the same thing? It's like it's a more socially acceptable version?
I guess it's the strip clubs of anime.
Yeah. And you can pretend that it is an actual show rather than you're just watching porn.
I don't think they're pretending though. I don't think anyone who's actually into this show is... I mean, maybe. I guess I don't... Those people exist, I guess.
To draw another analogy, like in Australia, reality TV, when it's done here, is always given this veneer of it being very serious.
Yeah.
Like, and everything that's happening in like reality TV shows, like ones where like people get like married to a random stranger and then have to pretend to have a marriage. And they don't just like, in England they call that wife swap, and it's very out and out about it being trash. It's just, what if a rich married a poor? Like that sort of thing. Whereas here, they talk about it being, it's a social experiment, and the results of this are very interesting, and they have very serious-faced like psychologists and marriage counselors on talking about these issues. Like it's not just a trash show where you get to watch a bunch of idiots act like idiots on camera.
Yeah. So you think this is that same kind of weird verisimilitude?
Yeah, if it's this sort of thing where like you watch it and treat it like it's a normal show, and it still titillates you, because
Yeah.
horribly this is what you're into. But like, and that's it's sort of the same appeal, I guess. Like, if you're into some awful shit and you have bad political opinions and you're also not willing to be honest with yourself, Magical Girl Spec Asuka is the show for you. Like, that's what this show
I
is.
feel like it has to be for like young men who haven't discovered porn yet.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that could be part of it too. But to be honest, young men discover porn pretty early. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
I think there is something to the idea that like a mass media that is meant to titillate you along with everything else. It's just that this is just so far along the spectrum to just being porn.
Yeah.
Because those scenes, all the torture scenes were just legit pornographic. But only softcore, because you don't see any naked parts. It's just all, it's incredibly explicit without actually seeing nudity.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Can't actually show the vagina.
No, but we can shoot it as long as there's a piece of cloth over it. Like yeah. It's just, yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry I made you watch that. I got off super easy.
I volunteered to do it. I mean, like I said at the start, I don't know what I was expecting.
No, well, I remember someone said that it never gets as bad except for one other time, again, as episode 4 did. But it sounds like it definitely got that bad multiple more times.
Yeah, no, it absolutely did. It got, like...
Why do people keep lying to us?
It did the sex torture porn 2.5 more times, and it had the insane, stupid fucking edgelord, rape backstory in there as well with the Somali kid and the stuff and the domestic abuse that was happening to the Whiplash. Like, and that's all just thrown in there for flavour, and because it's just so edgy and it's just so dark and it's just so and it's like, I honestly don't know what the show wanted us to feel about Whiplash at the end, where like she's just this I guess it's kind of like what's the name in Fate? The sort of broken bird type thing.
Oh, Sakura.
Yeah, where you're just meant to feel bad for her.
Maybe.
Like she's nothing but a victim. Like she is just victimized by everyone throughout the show and never has anyone who's treating her right. She's victimized by 3 different groups. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and that's all she's there to do. Is to just be this a apparently 17-year-old girl. Doesn't look 17, but that's not the point. An apparently 17-year-old girl who just gets abused and bashed and beaten and tortured.
I just wonder, it's like, do they even go as far as to thinking about, like, what do I want the audience to think about this scene or whatever? Like, I'm not even sure that crosses their mind.
No, I don't.
I think it's just like, this will be Edge. Here is Edge. I put Edge in comic. I say word rape. It's scary.
I think that's probably right. Yeah, I think they thought about the appeal of a character like that, and like that being a sort of a fucking twisted fantasy that some people have, and so they put it in the show. Like, and that's what it was. But yeah,
Well,
it's
sounds
bad.
pretty good.
Solid B plus.
Sounds like anime of the year.
Yeah. I just
You can vote for it on Crunchyroll.com.
if I can tell anyone anything about this, is that don't let anyone lie to you about this show. It's some fucking dark shit, and I don't just mean I not even necessarily in the way it intends to be. It is a disturbing piece of pop culture made for a disturbing segment of the humanity. There are people who exist who like this and want this, and this is made for them. And I hate being reminded that those people are real. Like,
See, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's why I think I want to think of that as young people, because it's like maybe they're just going through that fucking stupid phase where everything that is Edge seems amazing and cool, and oh man, my mom would never let me watch this, but now I am, and oh.
I would agree with that stuff if it wasn't for the neoconservative like politics in it. That's the
true.
bit.
Young men are into that though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why the old like incel alt-right types like.
Yeah, it is still like, oh no.
Yeah. That's the bit that makes me think like because of all the gun fetishization and the Russian angle and all of those sort of that whole idea of the fantasy perpetual war where you just go and get to punish the bad guys and you're the good guys. Like all that shit is very specific, and it doesn't feel like something you add for Edge so much as like it's an edgy story. But it isn't something you add just for Edge. Like you add that because maybe that's what you think, or at least that's what you think your audience thinks.
Yeah, this mangaka must have like watched a ton of Hollywood action movies from the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, you did it, and I appreciate your sacrifice for the people for educational purposes.
Yeah. Well, can we do something nice next? Can we talk about something good?
Yeah, because I was thinking, and I do want to do it at some point, because I've been watching some of Daybreak Illusion, which I never finished, and it's a pretty wild ride. It's nowhere near on this fucking level, but I think that'd be cool to do sometime. I was thinking I'd like to do Lane as a thing that I like, but that's not a happy thing.
I'm fine with it not being happy as long as it's good, like and not like
Lane is good
and doesn't have like an upsetting worldview. Like that's
Yeah.
Were you also talking about, was it Nanoha?
Yeah, so I've never actually seen Nanoha, and I want to watch it, and I think that we would have to watch the first 2 seasons and talk about them together, because everyone I know that likes it says the first season is pretty whatever, and then the second season is where it starts to get good.
And then there's the third season where it's like, it's a bit like Asuka, but maybe in a good way, in terms of the military.
Yeah, that's the one I'm interested in, because they're like magical girl military force, and there's a bunch of them, and there's some interesting designs in there, and I want to see how the fuck that works.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because that general idea intrigued me too. Like,
yeah,
and again, to point it back to to point it back to Sleepless Domain a little bit, the idea of examining what a society with magical girls that have to fight looks like when it's run that way. That's an interesting idea. Asuka didn't do that, but like,
no,
it pretended it did, but it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, especially because like, and then there's even like other kinds of young girls who can fight that aren't magical girls with magic, and there's just like so many overlapping things that don't quite. You don't have room for a theme, and obviously they weren't even trying for themes.
No. The closest they get is all of the stupid fucking fake deep conversations Asuka has with herself that are completely inconsistent. Like, and yeah.
This is war as hell. Isn't it cool though?
It really is like it becomes so obvious by the torture how like Asuka is not a character; she's just like a waifu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't even look like a human, just like the way her eyes and face are drawn. It's just like, this isn't a person. This is a weird doll thing.
Yeah, it is. That's what she is. She's a doll. She's a doll that can
Yeah.
kill people really effectively. She's just so tough, but also she's fragile and she needs caring for.
Oh, she's just like Violet Evergarden.
Pretty much, yeah.
And she's so broken.
But you could help her. You could educate her on friend
Yes,
and stuff.
on how to type. I mean, kill people.
Violet Evergarden teaches typing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. But is there any other? Are there any particular shows that you would want to cover that are actually good?
I mean, I've
I know
said
we've
before,
talked about Ava.
Yeah, I've always wanted to talk about the Ava manga just because I can never find anyone else who's read the damn thing.
Yeah. That's my only like thing is like it's like, oh, I do want to read it though.
Yeah, and it's like it's worth reading, and yeah, we would definitely have to both read it and discuss it because I still stand by that it's the superior version of Ava.
Yeah.
In a way.
Gotta get on that.
And there's a bunch of but look, there's a ton of stuff we could watch.
Yeah, we could watch more of Symphogear and talk about that.
Oh yeah, Symphogear, we did start watching that.
Yeah.
And that was edgelord nonsense, but in a fun way. Like.
Yeah, no, yeah, like compared to this, that's just like, that feels incredibly wholesome.
Yeah, incredibly wholesome, and like there's a lot of butts and shit, but like it's extra in a much more pleasing way. Like,
yeah.
yeah. All right.
It doesn't make you feel dirty.
Oh no, yeah, it really did make me feel very dirty. Anyway.
Oh, man. Well, I hope you all are, feel satisfied that now you know about it if you were wondering. And
Now
that's
you know,
the service that we provide.
Now you know, and knowing is the entire battle. Don't watch it.
Yeah,
don't ever
your
watch
battle is complete.
Yeah.
We fought the battle so that you, the innocent populace, would not have to. We're like Asuka in that way. We're just like her.
All right, so
Phoenix is war nurse, and I'm Asuka.
oh Jesus, don't say that.
I've been saved from this pain. I want to know more about this man,
A little bit, yeah.
this mangakaka.
I am sort of curious about him now. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Well, good job, team.
see you guys later.
All right, cheers.